Hello, and welcome to our episode of Damsels After Dark, where we, your favorite damsels, discuss the book each week from cover to cover to rant, obsess, analyze all of it. This week we read The Queen of Nothing, the third book in the Folk of the Air series. This book will be split up into two parts, so this will be part one. If you would like to listen to part two, join us back later for part two. This review contains spoilers, so just know that you've been warned. Without further ado, let's jump into it.
She stood by while her man seduced her sister as his form of love. Like, that was already the betrayal. If you couldn't see that your man was trash when that was happening, I don't know what else to tell you.
She's
I'm pleased to see him flinch at saying that.
Yeah, because he knows, oh, that's me.
That's me. That's me. Yeah. She's mad.
Yeah, and he knows that's her. So it's like...
But she doesn't know he knows.
No, but like,
what
come
a crazy
on.
dynamic.
Yeah. Heard her fall, knows her intimately on a level of training.
Knows her falls very intimately.
Yeah.
In fact, may have trained her how to fall.
Because it was Ghost.
Fucking Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost is like tied up on a chair.
Just throw that shit out of me.
Like, fuck you, Ghost.
Fuck you, Ghost. I'm so upset at the Ghost. I am, though. Yay. So, like always, I'll be reading it's an abridged version of the book synopsis because it's a little long.
Very long, actually.
He will be the destruction of the crown and the ruination of the throne. Power is much easier to acquire than it is to hold on to. Jude learned this lesson when she released her control over the wicked king, Cardan, in exchange for immeasurable power. Now, as the exiled mortal queen of faerie, Jude is powerless and left reeling with from Cardan's betrayal. She bides her time, determined to reclaim everything he took from her. Opportunity arrives in the form of her twin sister, Taryn, whose life is in peril. Dun, dun, dun.
I love these book descriptions. Every time we read them, it always feels like they're so intense.
Yeah, it is a good summary of the book. I'll give it that. So we are starting off again with
a prologue.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, wait, do we have a prologue?
Yeah,
we have a prologue.
Yeah.
This one's it's a good one. It does set the tone for the book, I think.
Yeah. Because it like goes into a little bit of Cardan's prophecy, his past, and why everybody mistreated him and his family in the court, or gentry, whatever they call it, and why he acts kind of why he does. Yeah. Slightly, it doesn't go into detail, but it slightly discusses like his history.
Yeah, it was definitely eye-opening. I liked seeing this sort of glimpse. We saw a little taste of it in the last book when we see sort of how his mother is just sort of like not a really loving mother. And of course that we see this through the orb that has the memory that the previous king has, which also you brought up a good point that that's the memory that king chooses, which is this really sad memory. So we kind of got a taste of this. It's nice to see the full, because it gets a little crazy.
It does. Here. Yeah, it does. It really does.
So we start off with, in the prologue, we're with the what's his
astrologer Baffin?
Baffin.
Yeah.
And he is prophesizing Cardan.
Yeah.
Because he was just born.
And I think that Lady Asha was pretty much holding on to Cardan in a kind of protective manner at this point. But she just gave birth to a prince. She's with the king. They're all there. And, the astrologist tells them pretty much that Cardan will be the destruction of the throne and crown if he becomes king.
Yeah, he says, I have it, so I'll just read it. Prince Cardan will be your last-born child. He will be the destruction of the crown and the ruination of the throne. Only out of his spilled blood can a great ruler rise, but not before what I have told you has come to pass. So, and of course, everyone takes this very literally.
Yeah.
He's going to be the ruination of the throne. He's going to, if he happens to take the crown or whatever, blood will spill, and only out of his death will a great ruler rise.
Yeah, and so they were like, at this point, Lady Asha's really holding on to Cardan, and they're all pretty much gathered together saying, well, this is horrible, and the king pretty much realizes that he just doesn't want to have any part in his raising it. I think there's even a little smidgen of the king thinking that maybe me not being there or maybe something I'm going to do is actually going to cause this prophecy.
Yeah.
So I think he just, at this point, doesn't know what to do, just to stand back and just let other people raise him or say, do what you see fit with him.
Yes, and I I think also this is devastating to Asha because she's sort of, at least the impression I get is she's sort of like a socialite.
Yes.
And here she was, she bed the king, and now she has
Son.
an heir to
Yeah.
the throne, even though he's the last born son. And then now you have this news that your son is the worst of the line. He's going to essentially be the destruction of this line should he ever come to power.
Yeah, and I feel like with this, you know, maybe at first Lady Asha was, because she held Cardan tight and you know, signifying he's a prince, and I think the only reason why she did that is because she saw in Cardan just some kind of hierarchy for herself.
100%.
And then the minute that prophecy came to pass, she thought maybe she could still kind of weasel her way into thinking, well, he's a prince, this shouldn't matter. But as soon as the realization hit to her, I think that's when she started becoming a little less motherly based off of those orbs and stuff like that.
I think so. Because then you're sort of like disappointed in him. Like he's the king nobody wants, or he's the prince nobody wants. He'll never be king because he'll never rise to a high station of power because of this prophecy. It's just like,
yeah, he's pretty much doomed.
And he's almost a detriment to her socialite status. Like, oh, you're the mother of the king who's gonna ruin us all. Like that would put a big like negative target on your, like you'd be the talk of the court essentially, and like negative gossip. So that explains why she acts the way that she. I mean, it doesn't justify it in any means, but it explains, I think,
why she's
given her personality.
Like, yeah, she's almost like shunning him at the same time, but everybody recognizes he's still a prince, and so yeah, it's pretty rough. And so now Cardan, imagine how he's being he thinks he's being raised to be like left off to the side, and he's like, at this point, what am I to do? You know, so he's been raised like this his whole life, and it, you know, like you were saying, it doesn't justify anything. It doesn't justify his cruel behavior towards other people. It doesn't justify Lady Asha's, you know, treatment of him or the king's dismissal. But that's what happened, and so, you know, they're become a cruel prince.
Yep. And I love the transition that Holly does in this book because I believe she's talking about this in third person and like telling us this story. And then in here, the transition from learning about the prophecy with Cardan, we go to this event that happens between Cardan and Dane. And transitioning those two, they said, or Holly says something like, fairies might not need the same type of love that mortals do, but they ought to be counseled. Like a young prince still ought to be counseled, because if he's not counseled, bad things happen. And then she sort of transitions us into what happens with Dane. I love that because it almost feels like I'm reading almost like a history book, not like a boring history book, but like somebody's spoken word of what happens to this specific kingdom. Like I just love that little touch that she does there. And then so in transitioning to that, we get a scene of Cardan and Dane when they're younger. Cardan's like 9.
He's really young.
Young.
Yeah, I don't know the age of Prince Dane. I don't know the age of any of the older siblings, but they're old enough to know that they're pretty much manipulating and treating Cardan, which they probably were already given the okay to do because they see other adults treating Cardan like this. So, you know, Prince Dane, to remind you, he was the one that was supposed to have been crowned.
He's the third oldest
in the coronation. That's the one that Jude pledged herself to.
That's so, who gave her that geese or geese or whatever it's called.
So this is a pretty good background as to why Cardan really didn't like Dane, because he mentions it to Jude that I think he was like the worst of them all.
Yes, that's right.
So anyways, Dane and Cardan are together, and I think there's this mortal who is the lover of Valmorin, the right now present in this prologue, the advisor to the king.
Yes.
And that's the advisor's lover.
Who was also a lover of the king.
Yes, it was really strange.
There's a lot of lovers happening here.
I mean, it is fae. So he's standing there. What does he have, an apple on him or something?
Yes.
I could be making this up. I don't remember.
Yes. Or
he has something.
It could be, I don't know exactly. I don't know that it's an apple, but it was like a walnut. Maybe I'm just thinking about walnuts. The last book. I don't know. Yes, he does have something on his head.
Yeah, and so Prince Dane was telling him, like, hey, why don't we switch arrows so that way if you miss, it would be my arrow that, you know, does wrong, not yours.
He challenges Cardan. He says, hey, let's see who can, or I don't think that you could shoot a I think it is a walnut. I just glanced at the notes. It says walnut. So I don't think you could shoot a walnut off of this person's head.
Okay, yeah.
And Cardin's like, I can shoot a walnut, because again he's younger. He's the one
Yeah.
that's kind of pushed down, and of course it's sibling rivalry. So it's an easy bait to pull him in. I can do that. Blah blah. And he's like, well, and as you were saying, Dane's like, well, how about we just switch arrows just in case you miss, so that people won't know that it was you that made a mistake or like shot. I was thinking like shot a window or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that, even though obviously the mortal is standing right there with a walnut on their head or whatever, like you would assume, oh, this is bad, he could get hurt. But yeah, I wasn't even thinking that. I was thinking, because they're fae. Well, he's mortal, but they're fae, so I thought maybe they'd be good enough to at least not get the mortal. But like, oh my god, it turned bad real quick.
Yeah, it did. And Cardin, right before he shoots it, so
he doesn't. I don't think he does shoot.
No, he doesn't. Sorry, he takes. So before he's about to, I think he like thinks about it. He takes first of all, he takes the arrow. He's thinking about it, but then he notices that the mortal is magicked there, and he's like trembling, and that he's clearly being forced. Which I don't know why you wouldn't have known that. He wouldn't have been forced the first. So already having this conversation with Dane, you think you wouldn't know that. But anyway, so he sees the fear in the person's eyes, and he turns to Dane and says, no, I'm not going to do it this way.
Yeah, and he also knows who that person is. And he's just like, I don't want no part in this anymore. And Prince Dane is just like, okay, well, he shoots, and he uses Cardin's arrow to do this. Okay, first of all, I have to mention, what did they do? Mark their name in the arrows?
Yeah, I don't know how we have specific arrows.
Yeah, I don't know.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster. Like this, like you could take anybody's arrow and shoot it, and then
here we are, and that's the predicament they're in. So Dane shoots the arrow, misses, and he's like, oh, and it kills the lover of the advisor. And so like now he pretty much framed Cardin, and now they believe Cardin killed the advisor.
Yep.
Which he didn't, and no one would listen to him because he's the left prince. Yeah. He's the runt. No one cares about him. He's the prophesized ruination of the kingdom. So why would they care what he has to say?
The king didn't care.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting what Holly says here too, just to sort of kind of put a hammer on that nail about him like not receiving love, or like this is how he's been consistently cheated. She writes, Prince Cardin ought to have been suspicious of this kindness, but he had little of the real thing to tell true between false, and she's alluding to the kindness of Dane switching arrows, because Cardin thought that this was a nice thing that his brother was doing for him, and he didn't experience any kindness, which is so sad. And so when he has this false kindness, he just sort of accepts it the whole way. And then to have accepted this young and have gone through this sort of traumatic event, and then we're seeing him more grown up, it makes so much more sense, sort of his outlook. So I thought that this was such a great... It's so sad. I feel bad for Cardin, which is weird because you hate Cardin in the beginning.
You do. I hated him in book one. I absolutely hated him. I thought he was trash.
And like, you wonder, at least in book one, I at least felt like, okay, I understand he probably doesn't have the best home life, blah, blah, blah. And then we get that little glimpse of like Balekin abusing him. It's like, okay, well, that's maybe where it's stemming from. But to see that it like really stemmed from way sooner. And even, they were also mentioned how he was raised, his mother didn't nurse him, but had him nurse on like cats.
Yeah.
Like... The depravity here.
And and like they were saying that fae are different in this world, so like they don't care, or they don't act like mortals would. So that loving, that disassociation from their parents and whatever is there a little bit more. I just feel like Cardin's still young too. Cardin's like 18, 19 in this book, so like he hasn't had time to really, especially if he's like his friends are even shitty. He's exposed to shitty people, like. And he's a prince. No one's guiding him if they're not. So it's almost to a point where who at what point in his life is going to allow him to see that change is a good thing? Because even if he did change to be a kind person, he's surrounded by shitbags. Yeah. So it's almost like a survival thing, in my opinion, that he is this cruel.
And then also on top of that, not like the only way he was able to get any sort of attention was through him being a terrible, cruel prince. Because we see that in that memory when he gets his mother's attention when he's like beating up some other kid. His mom's like really happy about it. So like this idea of how he interprets getting attention, getting love, getting affection is through him being cruel. So But it feels also very much against his nature because he even says, "I'm not a killer."
I'm not a killer. He doesn't even like doing the things he does
Yeah.
in his point of view. Like he expresses, like even in this one, where he did try not to harm the mortal.
Yes, and he's so just in his ruling too. So it's such an interesting thing that he's almost forced to be this way, even though it's against his nature. But that's all he knows how to get love, how to get attention. So good. All of this from
A prologue.
A prologue.
Yeah, it's very. She like the author writes like very short periods of, um, chapters, and there's so much information in just a short period of time. It's crazy how she does it.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. She does such a great job.
Mm-hmm. So the results then from Cardin not shooting but getting blamed for the shooting and killing of the mortal is that his mother gets taken. So Lady Asha gets taken and put into the Tower of Forgetting, and that's where we initially meet her. I thought that was very interesting because you can't, I guess, punish him or put a prince in there. Maybe he was too young.
Yeah, so they just pretty much put her there for like, oh, well, you didn't do anything to raise him properly, or they just. Actually, the king really did it to get her out of the way because he was sick of her.
Oh, yeah.
He was just like finding a reason, and that was the reason, so he got rid of her.
Yep. And then his dad didn't want him, and then so he was sent to Belkin's.
Yeah, none of his other siblings wanted him at all. And so, yeah, since Belkin took him in, Cardin believed that he did it out of like some kind of heartfelt concern, or I don't know. I don't think he realized the reason why Belkin took him in was anything other than like caring.
Yeah, and that again cements more this idea that okay, so Belkin takes him in out of love, and then how Belkin shows love is through abuse.
Yeah.
And so it's so twisted.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So twisted. And this is all Cardin, and this isn't even including. It's like this is Cardin's trauma. We know Jude's trauma. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say I love the trauma going on, but I do because it makes these characters so complex and have these complex thoughts and these emotions, and to watch these two collide together with the trauma on either of their side and their messed up outlooks on love has just been beautiful. But then, of course, he exiled her, and that's where we left off.
So now we're in the mortal realm with Jude being exiled.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the beginning of the book starts after the prologue.
Yes. And she's doing mundane, fucking human shit.
She is so sick of it too that she's trying to find any way of a connection back to the fairy realm, that she picks up these pretty much assassination jobs or like weird fighting jobs for the fae in the mortal realm, because I think the fae really don't know how to function in the mortal realm, so they do these odd jobs for them. She does these odd jobs for them, and she just happens to be in contact with this, what is he, a troll, a goblin, fae? I don't know. Byron is his name. Byron.
I'm not sure with the names.
We'll call him Ern. Burn. It's like Brian or some shit like that. But yeah, so he I want to say pretty much tells her like, hey, I'll give you $500 if you go fight this. Does he tell her what it is?
Yeah.
A cannibal?
Yeah, he's saying there's some cannibal fae.
Yeah, and she's just like, well, I want 1,000 or 1,500, and he goes, no, 1,000. So they agree on 1,000, and so he gives her the address to go pretty much beat this cannibal fae, because she's just eating fae up. So weird. I laughed so hard throughout the book about this person being cannibal fae.
Yeah, it's so odd. It's so weird.
It's weird. So yeah, Jude just starts heading out that way.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Heather doesn't live with them no more. That's true. That's important. So Heather doesn't live there anymore. It's just pretty much Oak, Viv, and Jude. And Oak is in school, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, she heads over on the bus.
Yeah, on the bus, and she's got a bike too.
She got a bike. Yeah. And they were all pissed off that she was loading the bike on the bus. And it's like, okay,
what am I supposed to?
Yeah.
Though I will say, I could never, because I would be very embarrassed to be like in real life having to tie my bike up to the front.
I would be like, load this shit up, get me on the bus. I don't give a fuck. You guys got a problem with it? Then you drive me places. Yeah, like, hey, I'm supposed to get to and fro. Like, I understand people get irritated that the bus take a little bit longer, but like,
Yeah, it's not. It's not that big of a deal. At
No,
the end of the day.
it's not. It's not. So yeah, so she gets to this area, the location of the supposed cannibal.
It's like some apartment building.
Yeah.
And she heads up there, knocks on the door, and this like old lady answers.
I'm assuming. I don't know. Is it an old lady?
Yeah, it's an old lady.
Okay.
She answers the door. It's like her glamored self.
Okay.
And she answers the door, and they have like a sort of back and forth banter. And then Jude has brought with her like a picnic basket of goodies that are in there.
Yeah, I think so. I can't recall what she carries with her, but I know she doesn't have. She only has a dagger with her.
Yeah, she has a dagger, and she brought some like snacks or something, like something to give her to eat or something like that. Like,
yeah,
helping her. I don't know. She brings some stuff. It's really not important.
Yeah.
They go into the house. They have their back and forth banter. Essentially, Jude calls her out and says, "Hey, I know you're eating fae. You need to stop."
Yeah.
And of course, this woman's like, "I'm not gonna
No,
stop.
I'm gonna do what I want to do. I've been.
Who are you?"
Yeah, I left the Elfham. I left the kingdom to come out here to pretty much do what I want to do because I was banned from doing whatever I wanted to do there.
Yeah, I was banned from being a cannibal.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
It's also, I think she was recognized to being a red cap prior to this too. I want to say,
yeah,
Jude kind of had an idea that she was because she saw a hat box.
Yeah,
and she knows how important the red cap hats are for these type of fae. So she notices that hat box is over there, and she kind of starts walking over there, and and then all of a sudden, what's her name? Grima Mog.
I was calling it Grima Mog.
Yeah, so Grima Mog is this person's name, and Jude gets over there to the hat box, and then I think knocks it over, and Grima Mog is like, "Get away from that!" Don't. And so, of course, this, confirms Jude's idea that she is a red cap, and there's the red cap right there, and it's super important to Grima Mog, so she gets all bent out of shape that, Jude pretty much has her cap.
And again, the red caps Matic is a red cap, and they dip their caps in the blood of their slain enemies, which is so cool. Like, this idea is so cool.
Yeah.
And then they wear them, and they just keep, every time they kill somebody, they just dip their hat in the blood.
So, yeah, so she pretty much, they have this, like, I won't say it's a bargain, but it is a bargain, right? I think it's a bargain. Where she pretty much says, I'll give you this red cap back if you stop eating people.
Well, yes, they do have that, but she threatens to catch on fire. She pulls out, like, a lighter, and she's
does kind of
holding it over, and Grima freaks out.
Yeah.
And then she says, "Okay, well, you need to stop eating people, and I'll give you your red cap." And then eventually, between their back and forth banter,
they wants to duel.
Yeah, they decide that they're going to duel instead, and they're going to duel until the other person gives up, essentially.
Yeah.
And if Grima wins, she gets like the tip of her finger, like one of
I forgot about that. And she's like, "Why do you want my finger?" But this is the known red cap thing too, because one of the generals had bit off
Jude's finger. Yeah,
so it's like it's a thing that I don't know what it is with the fingers. So weird.
Yeah, well, I assumed she was just gonna eat it like a little snack because she's eating other fae.
Yeah. Jude asked her, "Well, what do you want my finger for?" She's like, "What does it matter? It's mine.
It's my
I can
finger.
wear it as a necklace if I want. You can't tell me what to do with it." And it's like, ew.
Yeah, maybe she doesn't have a taste for mortals, just the fae.
Yeah.
But so if Grima wins, she gets the finger and she gets to continue doing whatever she wants. If Jude wins, Grima will stop. We'll stop eating fae, at least in this area.
And she says something about she has information
to give her.
Yeah, and so like pretty much Jude wants this information. Well, Jude pretends that she doesn't care.
Yeah, because she does say
king.
something about the king.
Yeah,
and of course Jude is very upset about what Cardan did, and so she's trying to not care about Cardan. She's trying to not think about him.
She cares. Even the whole bus ride there, I think she was thinking about him. Yeah, she's nonstop. She is the queen.
Well, she is also thinking that she's the queen.
Yeah.
And then so they go up to the roof and they start battling. And of course, Jude didn't bring her sword because
it's a weird thing.
Every time she needs like a sword to be the full badass she is, she never fucking has it.
No. So she's got this dagger of a thing. It's small, and Grima Mog, I think, even kind of talks about like the dagger.
Yeah, and she even says like, "Don't ask me for something because I'm not gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
Fight with what you brought."
Yeah, and it's this fucking dagger, which is hilarious. Because like she's trying so hard to battle it out, and Grima Mog's got this whole huge sword.
Yeah,
And I think that at one point, I don't know, does the dagger get thrown off the roof?
Yeah, it gets hit, and she drops it.
Yeah.
And then Jude, being the resourceful queen that she is, finds a pipe. She finds some pipe on the ground. She picks it up. She starts battling. She still has the cap, and she does a sort of cheap move, but whatever. She's mortal. Who cares? She throws the cap in Grima Mog's face and smacks her like super hard on the arm or something, and then that causes her to give up.
Because she tries, like, I think she like almost beats the crap out of her with it or whatever, and she's like, okay, I give up. And just to mention too, the reason why it's not a duel to the death is because Jude did not want any duel to the death. She knew that if it was a duel to the death, she was gonna lose.
Yeah.
So she decided that as long as she got Grima to a point where she was going to like give up, she was willing to do that. And so I think Grima Mog was like, that was disappointing. She wanted to fight to the death.
Yeah.
But they didn't. So she agreed to that.
I like that during this time too, Jude is already like feeling super good about being back to scheming and bargaining and fighting. Like in her mind, she's like, it feels good to be doing all this stuff again. I don't know what the timeline is. How long has she been in the mortal world? I don't remember.
I know it's been a few months because it's not that much longer because what happens next.
Yeah.
But I think it's a few months at this point.
Yeah.
It's not that long.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe 3 months. I'm just throwing
I
it
think
out
it's
there.
about 3 months. Maybe because you got to remember too. She was worried at the point before she left. She didn't have much time, and so it hasn't been a year when she went back. I don't think.
Yeah. Certainly not that long.
No.
So they do their duel. Of course, Jude wins. So the piece of information that Grima has is that the king will be dethroned, like in a couple nights, in the next fortnight or something.
Yeah,
like that,
by her father.
Does she say?
Yeah, she says that her father has like pretty much gathered a whole bunch of people.
Oh yeah, okay. The Court of Teeth have thrown in their lot with the Grand General, your father, and a host of other traitors. I have it on good authority that your High King is to be dethroned before the next full moon.
Yeah, and so like at this point, Jude is like, I don't care, but I kind of do care. I gotta get back to Carden. Like at that point, she's like thinking, should I get back to Carden? Should I warn him? I don't know. I don't think so. She's battling that whole thing. And
no, you don't go back and warn him. If he wanted that information, he should have kept you there.
In my opinion, I think he already kind of knows. Like obviously, he already knew before she left because it was the night.
Because he took half the freaking army.
And Jude said it wasn't her that agreed with him, so he knows already.
He knows something's up.
Yeah, so it's not that he doesn't already know that. Probably just doesn't know about the Court of Teeth.
Yeah, or maybe the specific deadline.
Yeah.
That they're going to strike on the next full moon or whatever it is. So Jude heads home bloody and bruised.
Beaten the hell up.
Beaten.
They're looking at her strange because she's got to ride the bus back. And I think she even falls asleep on the bus. And I think the bus driver has to wake her up and is like, hey, this is your stop.
Yeah.
So, like, so she gets off the bus. Yeah, she's all gross and beat up. And she looks off into in the area where she's about to go towards the house, and she notices that Heather is just standing there, talking to herself.
Yeah.
And then she approaches Heather, and she's just like, oh, we forget to mention that Jude read a text message from Heather to Viv saying that she just wants to forget that she ever met her or something like that. So she talks to Heather, and Heather is like saying, I just trying to work up the courage to knock on the door.
Yeah.
And she looks at Jude and realizes, oh, the fuck, what? Who cares about me?
Yeah.
Let's get you upstairs. In my opinion, I think that's Heather's way of
getting up there.
And it's like, yeah, she's doing it out of the kindness of her heart, but at the same time, she's just like, oh, fuck me. Let's go upstairs.
Yeah, let's go upstairs.
Let's go upstairs.
We need to bathe you in Visine, no, not Visine, Vaseline.
Yeah.
She says.
Yeah, something like that. So she gets her upstairs, and I think Viv is there, but doesn't know that she walked in yet with Heather.
Yeah, well, because I think we get the shocking revelation right off the bat.
Because I think Jude recognizes there's somebody else here.
Yeah, because she sees like 2 coffee cups on the table and stuff, and knows that somebody's there. And who's there?
The fucking shitty sister.
The traitor herself.
Yeah, Taryn. Fuck, man. This girl, why is she here? That's the first one I read that was like, why?
Yeah. Not this bitch.
Yeah.
Not her coming back.
So yeah, so Jude's pissed, and she's like, "If you're gonna let her stay here, then I'm fucking leaving.
Yep.
I'm fucking leaving." And so Tara's like, "No, no, pretty much just listen to what I have to say. Listen to what I have to say." And I want to say, she ends up pretty much telling her right off the bat, like,
I need your help.
Yeah, my husband's dead. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was just like, what?
Locke
is
He's
dead?
dead?
Fucking thank God. But like, how is he dead? She admits to killing him.
Yeah.
I
was shocked.
I couldn't stop laughing when I read that. I was like, what? I had to reread it. I was like, this bitch, you know, she snapped. And I think it was probably a good reason.
Oh, 100%, because he's a little slime ball.
Yeah.
But also, I remember very distinctly, I said in episode 1, I was making the comparison between the two of these twins, and I was like, Taryn would never kill anybody. She doesn't have it in her. And then come book 2, or book 3, Taryn's like, I'll show you.
You know,
kills her husband.
I loved it. I loved it. It was a great ending to Locke's bullshit. If it was going to be at the hand of somebody, I'm glad it was at the hand of Taryn and not Jude.
Yes.
Because it just, like, it made it, like, a very good twist. Because if you think about it, Taryn was always going to be the person that Maddox raised. Because she was also trained. She was this, that. Maybe she didn't have it in her, but push come to shove, she is also Jude's sister.
Yes, and they lived through the same family trauma. So they have that same, like, sort of messed up, you know, whatever would cause somebody to snap and kill somebody. Taryn just harnesses that, Jude just harnesses that a little bit better. Yeah. But it's nice to see this layer that Taryn does have a little bit of that in her as well. She's not just this, like, goody-goody two-shoes, follow the rules, find herself a man and get married, and she'll live happily ever after. No, she got a little bit. I still don't like her. No. The fact that she's here asking for help, I'm like, bitch, what do you want?
She's always asking for help from her sister.
There's no way that you betrayed me.
Killed your husband. Yeah, and then now you want me to help you out with the guy that fucked us both over?
No, you want me to help you.
Yeah.
You're crawling here begging. No apologies. No, I'm sorry. I went with Dad to take... I pretended to be you. I tricked Cardin. I feel like I wouldn't be here asking her for help. Like, you did one bad thing after another. Like, you did this. Jude gets exiled.
The gall to ask your sister.
The gall, that's something. Like, so bad thing after bad thing happens to her, and your first thing to her is like,
come help me. Not like, how have you been doing? You've been exiled. Like, what, how is things going? No. She immediately contacts her for when she needs help right away. And it's like at the point where it's so bad now. Like, she killed her husband. And you know what she wants her to do? She pretty much is asking Jude to go back to pretend to be her to get her out of this tribunal thing. Yes. This inquisition thing on her. Because everybody is accusing her. Okay, let's talk about how Locke died. She said she stabbed him with a letter opener because she was so sick of his shit, pretty much. And that she dragged him to the sea and dumped him into the water. Okay, she knows that there's undersea people. He would have been found even if he wasn't eaten a lot. I guess the sea animals had eaten him to the point where he was like bits and pieces of him only.
Well, they said something had taken a bite out of him.
Yeah, but it was still locked.
Yeah, it was still locked. You could still tell it was him. There was some bites.
And he washed up ashore. And so now everybody's showing her, she's like, she didn't even do a good job. So like everybody's like, what happened to Locke? And she's just like, I don't know.
I wonder if Jude would have told her that she killed Valerian earlier. Like, hey, bury the body next time. Yeah. Don't dump it in the water where there's fucking a whole civilization down there. Don't do that.
I have a nice spot near the stables. For you to bury their best friends together.
In case you ever need bury the best friends, reunite the best friends. In case you ever need to kill your husband, bury the body, please. But I think it's so funny that Jude's first thought when she hears that Locke is dead is that she doesn't get to repay him for what he did to her the night before his wedding. Yeah. It's like one of her first thoughts. Yeah. I'm like, of course it would be. She's like, damn it.
I would be mad too. I'd be like, damn, I didn't get to fucking punch him in the goddamn face.
I wanted to make some time for him, and now I can't. Now I'm never going to make time for him.
I think, Jude, I can't remember what Jude tells her. I think Jude tells her now that it was Locke that.
Yeah, well, Jude is like, I don't have time for this. I'm not going to deal with this. I need to go take a shower. Yeah. And then so they go into the bathroom together, and Taryn kind of helps her get ready and into the shower. And then while they're both in the shower, Jude does say kind of a lot of the things that she's been meaning to say to her, like, hey, you betrayed me.
Yeah.
Your husband did this. And then Taryn's like, why didn't you tell me he did this?
Okay.
And she's like, because you fucking betrayed me. What was I supposed to tell you?
She said that, why did you let me marry him?
Yeah.
That's what she
Yes,
said.
that is what
I
she
was
said.
so pissed off at that statement. It's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
She says, why did you let me marry him? And I was just like, bitch, that's your fucking choice. You betrayed me in this whole scenario, and then you're gonna be like, why did I let you? You never listened to anything I had to say.
At every turn with Locke, she betrayed Jude.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
she stood by while her man seduced her sister as his form of love. Like, that was already the betrayal. If you couldn't see that your man was trash when that was happening, I don't know what else to tell you. And now you're shocked that, like, she says in her speech to Jude that, oh, I did everything. I was super slutty with him, or I withheld it. Like, I did everything to be everything to try to figure out what it was that he wanted. And he told her the best line was like, your story is boring, or your story's been written, or something like that. Because again, he loves chasing these like drama stories.
Yeah.
And so you know that he did that shady shit with your sister. You know that you're in this scenario where he is like eyeballing other girls constantly, and she just justified it in her head like, well, Faye don't love the same way.
Yeah,
because that's what he told her. That's the bullshit he told her.
It's so stupid. She bought into it, ate it up, and just fucking loved it.
She loved everything he did.
She devoured.
So the fact that she would even be going to Jude and being like, why did you let me marry him?
Yeah, it's like, bitch, you did that. You wanted that. That's what you wanted. You knew what he was.
I don't understand.
So
we all saw it.
Yeah,
Taryn, I don't know what you were missing.
So yeah, they have this conversation. I guess Jude does agree to going back, because now she's thinking, yeah, you know, I could go back, I could do this. She's also thinking that she has her wits about her for the things she wants to do when she goes there. Not just, she plays it off like, I'll just go do this and come back. She knows she ain't gonna just do that and come back.
Yeah, she's trying to convince us though.
Yeah, she is. That whole part.
And Viv.
Yeah, and it's like, no, you ain't.
So the game plan that what Taryn wants her to do is pretend to be her at the Inquisition, because she can't get glamored, because they anticipate that they're going to glamour her and force her to say that she did kill her husband. So yeah. Taryn or Jude is supposed to go there to say, I'm Taryn, I didn't kill my husband, and then walk out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. She was never. Jude is Jude. Like, even I know, like, deep down inside, she's not gonna fucking do that.
She's already scheming.
Yeah.
She's already like, how can I stay longer? Yeah.
So yeah, I think that but she goes to sleep and has weird dreams, right?
Yeah, she does have some really weird dreams. I don't really know. She okay, so she's sitting in the palace garden. She's writing like a star chart, and she looks down and the ink is like clotting, and she's noticing that it's blood. And then she sees Carden across the grove, and then Valerian calls out to her his curse, and he says, as I was dying, I cursed you, but I didn't get to finish my curse. And so he says the whole thing again. He says, I curse you. 3 times I curse you. As you've murdered me, may your hands always be stained with blood. May death be your only companion. And may life be brief and shrouded in sorrow. And when you die, may you go unmourned. And that's when Carden comes over. And he starts, he steps on her star chart and says, come with me. And Locke is basically taunting her and taunting Carden's like, I knew you always liked her. And he says the best line ever. I knew I always liked her. That's why I had to take her first. Do you remember the party in my maze garden? How I kissed her while you watched? And Carden says back, I recall that your hands were on her, but her eyes were on me.
Oh my god. That part, it's like, it's true. It's true. That's what happened. But it was so weird, because I remember reading that part and I'm like, that is so like weird. Like yeah. Even she was staring at him.
Yeah.
They were staring at each other.
He was making out.
He was
making out.
Yeah. It was so weird.
They were like kissing his neck and stuff.
Yeah, and he was just like watching her, and she's like messing up on Locke, and they're like looking at each other. It's like,
get a room, guys. Just get your feelings out.
Yeah, don't. And so, like, she has this dream about it, and it's like, why would you remind yourself of how just weird, that cringy that was? That was so cringy weird.
She's reliving the cringe.
Yeah, it's like, stop it. I would wake up like, ew. I don't want to dream about that ever again. But yeah, I mean, I think.
And then Carden takes her to some other place and they start like making out, and then he turns back and he says some weird stuff to her about like how she is beautiful but that beauty will fade and she will grow old and her skin will sag and her memory will fade and things like that, like essentially pointing out her full mortality.
Yeah.
And then the dream switches to her being at her funeral. She's on like a slab of stone in some cloth and everyone comes up to her, and then Carden says something interesting here where he tells her how much he loves her and she says that's a lie, and he says, I know I can lie all the time, or something like that.
Yeah.
I love you, I love you, I love you. When it was kind of weird.
Yeah, I feel like this dream is just all her insecurities, to be honest.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I don't, because obviously none of this is, what transpires. It's all her insecurities, her mortality, her death, the curse that,
Carden not loving her.
Yeah.
The curse.
It's just a whole bunch of insecurities. And so, like, this is right before she's already designed the idea to go to the Fae realm again. So it's just, like, everything is coming up. Because even though Judah's a badass, she still, like, has doubts in a lot of things,
And even when she's doing badass things, she's like, my voice is shaking, or my voice came out clearer than I thought it would. Like, you can tell it's almost a facade, but it's what you have to do in order to act like you're not afraid.
Yeah, because she is young. She's young, and so most of these things that she's doing for the first time to gain power in a place in this world that she's been living in her whole life. So this isn't something she's used to doing yet. This is something she's, just starting to become. So of course, a lot of the doubts and insecurities are going to show until she starts to get cemented in her actual place.
Yeah.
So right now, this is just, and she's just been exiled. So all those doubts that she had before, she's exiled now for those same things that she thought that she had doubts on. She's now having to actually re-experience right before she's got to go, because she doesn't want to have to go back and then fail again. Which she believes she failed, which in my opinion, I don't think she failed.
Yeah.
She did everything that she could do, and being exiled to the mortal realm is not so bad, to be honest. Yeah.
No. Well,
she's gonna figure it out why it's not so
she
bad.
will figure it out. But yes, right here before she is freaking out and sort of reliving through again all of these doubts that she's had the whole time through. I think this is an interesting section of the book. I like that we got a peek into seeing how these insecurities are manifesting, or these moments that she chose to highlight, like her and Carden staring at each other.
Yeah.
Like, that's an interesting thing to highlight. Also, the fact that Locke is the last one at this funeral situation, and then he doesn't believe that she's dead, so he stabs her, and that's what wakes her up, is that he's continuously stabbing her. I think that's such an interesting thing to highlight as well, because we just learned
that he's dead.
That's how he died.
Yeah.
But then also, she's been wanting to, like, get him back because he was, like, stabbing her with he didn't really stab her, but his whole, like, group when they bombarded her and ambushed her, like, is it really interesting because this feels so authentic to how real dreams are? Like, you have these
random ass events happening.
Yeah.
And the cringy moments that you had are being relived in your dreams. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like it.
And they're very nonsensical like this.
Yeah.
So I thought this was really good on Holly's part. This is a very interesting scene.
I also really enjoyed it because it also pointed out that her insecurities may have been the reason why she was fogged in a sense of how she could come back. I feel like her insecurities blinded her to actually think and process a possible way of scheming again.
Yes.
And I think the Grima Mog thing helped her get back into her confidence.
Yeah. Sort of.
Yeah.
Restarting those gears again in her head.
Because being exiled was a thing to her, just like she felt like defeated and her doubts came into play, and so now I think that she's doubting herself to the point where she does not want to scheme and plot and plan.
Because in her head, she thinks that Carden really got her.
Yeah.
Like, Carden tricked her,
I mean,
and she feels so foolish because she has that super vulnerable moment in the last book where she's feeling like this. I don't know how old we decided she was, like 19. She's feeling like this 18-year-old, this silly 18-year-old girl who's fallen in love, and
she's never let it happen before.
She's never let these feelings come out,
Yeah.
this sort of silly mortal situation, and it feels to her like Carden took advantage of this and then exiled and bested her.
Yeah.
After she's been kicking so much ass.
Yeah.
Now she let her petty human love emotions
I agree with her though.
win.
I would be feeling the same way. I would be like, damn, the one time I let somebody in and this is what he does, I would be feeling the same way, to the point where I would feel like that overshadows everything I've been doing now, because I would feel so, I don't even almost to the point where I feel disgusted with myself, because that is not my character. And one time I go out of my character for somebody I think I care about, and they deceive me.
Yep. Especially when, one, he was your enemy.
Yeah.
And she had to keep reminding her of that. And two, she kept fighting those feelings the whole entire time. Like, she never really let them in. Especially when moments when I, as the reader, wanted her to. Like, when she didn't stay back when he told her to stay in the chamber. She was like, I ain't got time for your bullshit. Yeah. So the fact that she was always better than that. But it's not necessarily being better than that to be falling in love. Especially if somebody... those feelings are returned, but again, from her point of view, it's like,
it's from her point of view.
I fucking let somebody in, and he fucking exiled me,
and so now, and so that stops her in my head as the reason why she didn't catch a specific wording until later.
It's weird though, because she does think about it.
She thinks about it. She ponders about it, but I think she doubts herself.
She does,
and I think and I think that's exactly why. If she didn't doubt herself, I guarantee you she would have already back in the fairy world.
Yeah, because it's weird. Like, why wouldn't you try it?
Yeah.
You wouldn't even try it?
She didn't even want to. And I think she didn't want to face him.
Yeah.
I think because she was really upset at the betrayal.
Mm-hmm. And I think she thinks about it during this time.
She does. She is. She's thinking about it this whole time.
So she's thinking that... Because his exile was worded that the king or the crown...
The crown.
...is the only thing that can pardon her upon death. Or if she... chooses to go around it. And so she's pondering it. I think she's pondering it on the way back home. When she's sitting on the bus, she's thinking about, well, I'm the crown.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, Jude, you're the crown. Come on, Jude.
She is. And the whole time, it's right in her face. That's why I feel like, reading it, it's like she's feeling this way. Why won't she go back? And it's definitely because this dream had shown her insecurities. And it was written so well because, like I said, even if I were in that predicament, knowing that I am the queen and I could pardon myself, I still probably wouldn't go back.
Yeah.
I would be exiling myself. And essentially, that's what she's doing. Her insecurities are exiling her, not Cardan. And that's why it's hard for me to actually, even though Cardan did what he did, I think reading this, as I was reading the prologue and even this whole chapter, I was realizing Cardan did that on purpose. And she is exiling herself from her insecurities. And I thought I would be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go back to him because even he didn't have to do that. He did it. And even though he's doing it in some kind of manner where I could still come back, I'm still pissed off.
Yeah, still pissed off. Yeah. And still also questioning his feelings. And like, you're almost embarrassed because she was like, yes, yeah, I want to marry you. And they had this sort of romantic situation. And she, again, let go of this and became this vulnerable thing. And then to think that it was all nothing to him, I think also really was hurting her pride. And that was also another mental block for her to not be able to understand what was going on.
Yeah.
Because she's too smart.
Yeah.
And even he says that. You were too smart. I thought you would get it. I thought it would impress you. This is later, but I'm going to say it anyways because it's so interesting how Holly wrote this because she didn't have to say any of this, which I think was so good. She didn't specifically, like, Jude didn't think this in her head and rationalize why she was blocking it, but there was so much evidence to support why
without
she
even
was
actually specifying exactly.
Yeah.
Like this dream was a good example of her own insecurities holding her back and how she already knew. It was like without even having to without the author even having to say this is why she hasn't gone back. She
did it without it.
Yeah, and it was beautifully written.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And so the next day she wakes up and she's ready to fucking go.
Oh, yeah. And
Viv is so mad. Viv does not want this.
No. She keeps on trying to talk her out of it. Like, don't do this. Don't do this. This is a horrible idea. Viv just does not like the fairy realm at all. She just wants her to stay back.
Yeah.
And so Jude is pretty much, I think at this point, designed to even say, wanting to tell Cardan. I think she's trying to figure out a way to tell Cardan as well what's happening. I don't know how she plans on doing it, but I think it's in her head that she plans on warning Cardan.
Oh, about the...
Yeah. I don't think she knows how she wants to do it. I think she keeps battling that as well. But essentially, this is how I know she didn't want to... She was going to scheme because she's saying she wants to tell Cardan, but she doesn't want to tell Cardan. Just like, if you're already thinking about that, you can't be Taryn.
Yeah.
You can't... Unless she tries to tell Cardan as Taryn. I don't know. She didn't say that, but she was just trying to figure this out. But yeah, so now Taryn tells her that she's pregnant at this point.
Yeah, well, because Jude is still unsure about Taryn because Taryn is a fucking backstabber. Yeah. And so she asked Taryn, is this some sort of trick?
To get me to go back.
And then to get me locked up for going around my exile. And Taryn says no and says to her basically that she was pregnant or she is pregnant, and Locke knew, and then Jude asks her, "Did Locke know?" And she's like, "Yeah."
Told right before it killed him.
Yeah, and you know how the conversation went.
Yeah. So I think at this point, Locke, she was trying to pretty much tell Locke to stay home. And Locke didn't want to do. He wants to do all his things still, and so I think that pissed Taryn off.
Because Locke is a fucking player.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact, and we already knew this. And Taryn, like, you already knew this because you went to Jude and asked her, please don't let him be the master of revels because I need him to not be fucking other girls all the time. Is essentially the message I got. And it's just like, girl.
She tries to play it off like she's not. She doesn't care that he has other lovers, but at this point in time, that's what gets him killed because she says, she wanted him home because now she's having a baby, and Locke does not care.
No.
And so she gets angry and stabs him in the throat with a letter opener.
And I like that Jude, she says that she's wondering if Taryn had imagined bringing up a child, like almost a mirror situation of what happened to her mom. If like their mom had imagined bringing up a child and that's why her mom ran, and she's wondering if Taryn was feeling these same sort of feelings, and that's maybe the catalyst for actually why he died, because Taryn would be scared, like if seeing what happened to their mom, how their mom ran and didn't kill Maddox, and then Maddox went and killed the mom. I could see how Taryn's response to knowing what happened, seeing Locke, not wanting to get trapped in this. She felt like maybe she couldn't leave, and so instead she decided to kill him to get her out.
And this is her upbringing showing.
Mm-hmm.
This is how she was raised.
Yep.
Taryn was raised, even though she did not kill or did not do any of the things that Jude did. It didn't matter because at the end, her upbringing came through.
Is still
she's still the commander's daughter.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And Jude's sister. That's just the bottom line. And given any of those scenarios, any of the girls, even possibly Oak, they were raised under him. Mm-hmm. So I think at that point they were pretty much that's going to be the result. And I think even Carden even made a comment on one of the books. I can't remember which one. Somebody did. I believe it was Carden saying, "You're family, man. Can't we just do anything without killing people?"
Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah.
I think it's in this one.
Yeah.
He says it, yeah.
Pretty much like, there's other things to do other than just to kill people.
Yeah.
Like,
I love how passive he is.
Yeah.
Like,
and then he's the cruelest, supposed to be the cruelest of all. And he's just like, do we have to always kill people? Like,
aren't you the wicked king, Carden?
Yeah. But he always said himself he's not a killer.
No, he's not.
But he ends up marrying somebody who's the most brutal, killer. She's just killing people left and right.
I know.
And I just love it.
He's like, yeah, okay, that's my girl.
That's my wife, yeah. So proud of her, too.
I know, yeah, he loves her.
Yeah, he's so proud of her. There's a few things in this book that he mentions about, his wife, and it's like, oh, that's endearing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he loves his wife,
So after this little conversation, essentially they have another conversation, which we're not privy to in the book anyways, but Taryn essentially lays out her schedule, who's in Locke's estate, because Jude is going, and gives her sort of the lay down. It reminds me a lot of like Parent Trap.
Yeah.
When they are talking about, you need to do this, here's who you'll talk to, here's when you'll eat, here's when you'll go here. And so she gets all that information, she goes on her reed horse, and she flies to Locke's estate.
Yeah, and so the first thing she notices when she gets in there is that Taryn changed everything, because Locke and Jude were dating at one point, so Jude's had been at, what is that place called? It's not Hollow Hill.
Oh, I don't remember his estate.
Anyways, Locke's estate. I don't know if we mentioned it, but Locke's living alone. Mm-hmm. He used to live alone prior to getting married to Taryn. Mm-hmm. So the house was pretty much like empty to a point where there a whole bunch of it wasn't lived in, I should say. Mm-hmm. Taryn moved in, and it's like lived in, and this is important because Taryn does things in the future, but Taryn pretty much designed it to be this grand revelry home, just a place where people could visit and hang out and feel comfy, and I guess she's got pillows everywhere. It's just changed, and Jude is taken in, and she's in awe of all the things that Taryn really made this place a home.
Yeah, so and sort of seeing this different side of her sister that she's never seen. Like, oh, my sister really, she's kind of good at this. Like, this looks really nice here.
Yeah,
it looks
she's a good homemaker.
Perfect. Yeah, good homemaker. I mean, she probably had nothing else to do but sit around and decorate their estate.
But that's what she wanted, though. That's what Taryn wanted.
Yeah,
she wanted to be this homemaker in love with this fae husband and have a family and be this person in, court and whatever. But she got what she wanted, but not how she wanted it.
Yes. She's so stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else to say to you, Taryn. Anyone a mile away could have seen that this was going to be the path. Maybe not you killing. I wouldn't have seen that. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
But your husband being a piece of shit, I definitely saw that.
Yeah.
So then Jude, she goes upstairs. I think the maids ask her like where she wants dinner, and she's like, "Oh, please bring it up to my chambers." And so she goes upstairs, and I love this scene so much because she's practicing her speech in front of that she knows is going to be in front of Card, and she says some of the best lines. Her first line is, "Greetings, Your Majesty, you betraying toad."
Yeah,
like,
she's like trying to figure out a way to be able to be in front in his presence without like showing it,
without being mad, without being angry.
Yeah.
Of course, she still got all that same pent up aggression.
I don't think I could hide it. I don't think if I was in front of somebody that betrayed me like that, I would be able to like walk by them without going.
Yeah, I know, right? Just scowling at him.
Like, this whole, like, oh, I don't like you, or
betraying Toad.
Yeah.
Love that saying.
And I love it because toads are their mounts there. It always goes back to that to me. So it's like this big-ass toad, she's...
And so the second one she says is, "Greetings, Your Majesty. I try again. I didn't kill my husband, even though he richly deserved it." Like, she's so sassy. I love her so much.
This is her practicing so hard, too. Like, she's like, I'm good. I gotta do a better job at this.
Yeah, like, I'm just being too sassy. I gotta get it out of my system before I get in front of him, because I'm gonna say some shit.
She's right, though. I mean, I would have to practice it, too, before I said it, because I don't think I could go right up there without, like, making my face look in a manner where it was...
Yeah, you need to practice the poker face.
You gotta practice all of it. So she's doing a good job, trying to at least.
She is, yeah. And then also the fact that it was Locke and she like doesn't give a shit. Like, yeah, he fucking deserved to die, though I didn't do it.
Yeah. Good luck having people believe that.
Yeah, I know, right? And then after that, I think there's something interesting too that happens is the servants bring up food, and Jude sees right away that on the toast is fairy jam or fairy fruit jam, which we know from book 1 really had an effect on Jude. When she got it shoved in her mouth, she was essentially drugged, and they made her do a whole bunch of crazy things.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so she sees that, and she makes note that is Locke, like, is this so common that her sister's just been eating this, like, either to delude herself from the life that she's living, or is this Locke that's been like drugging her without her knowing? I think that's interesting. We don't get an answer to this question, but I do think that's an interesting thing. Either way, like, was Locke poisoning her, or not poisoning her, drugging her, or was she so disenchanted with her life that she was drugging herself? Well, it is like a drug.
It is, and it's like, I don't even know if it's large amounts on it. I can't remember, but it was enough to where it would probably cause her to have some kind of like feeling or
some kind of
something to where she would be more susceptible to whatever behavior is going on.
And we know from Jude's experience with it that she just was very happy and she wanted to please other people. So it almost feels like this is something that Locke was doing to kind of keep Taryn just in a pleasing mood to please him. Yeah. And that's just disgusting. So even more ammo to fucking throw him away in the fire. In the fire, Taryn, that would have been a much better option.
Well, the thing is too, the thing is too is like, at what point did she notice if she wasn't having it done to herself and Locke was the one doing it? At this point, like, Locke's been dead for a while now. So did she just not know? Is she almost like Jude, where she was just getting used to it, and now that's just how she's been eating her food? Who knows? Because it's been a while since Locke has been in the ocean for a good part of time, and now she's. I don't know. It's just weird that the servants are still serving it to her even after Locke's death. Yeah.
So then again, that might suggest that she's doing it because she's so upset. Either way, I thought that was interesting. That's like another layer here. Just interesting things in this book.
So after Locke's estate, she's there. She's getting ready. I think she does head over to the palace for the inquest.
The next day. I think it's the next day.
I think it is. Yeah. It was really soon. This part, I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait for her to go back.
I could not wait
and see Carden and like face all of them because she's facing the whole court. Oh,
and I love that their interaction and their first meeting together is her having to pretend to not be herself. This is beautiful.
Also, there was. I want to go back because in the last book, he did not recognize that Jude was not Taryn and Taryn was not Jude.
Yes. But we will caveat that with the fact that he was coming off of poison. So
yes.
he was not all there because I did give him shit. Like,
yes.
Carden, you need to recognize the twin. That's like dating twins
yes.
101.
So now I think that whole thing was set up for what's to come.
Mm-hmm.
And that was beautifully done. Because I was like, it wasn't that long ago that he just got tricked.
Yes, yes.
Well, in my mind, because it's the book. But it was months later.
Yes, yes.
But still, it's like, now he's faced with this dilemma where now she is pretending to be Taryn. And now it's like, oh my God.
So what's going to happen?
Yeah.
What are you going to do, Carden?
I'm so excited.
I love this so much. Holly, you're a genius.
Yes.
It's
great.
Because you could have brought them back together in any other way, and the fact that you brought them together this way, it was so sly.
The death of Locke and the pretending to be the other sister after it was already done prior to is just
in a way
genius.
that fucked them up.
Yes, it was genius. It was genius. So so she goes there, and of course Taryn's clothing, pretending to be Taryn, trying to keep Taryn's mannerisms, which is also important because
they're not the same.
Yeah.
Because Jude's a little more rough around the edges. Even physically, like her body is more.
She's got scars
muscular.
all over her.
She's got scars.
She just got beat up by Grima Mog not that long ago.
So
she looks like she's Jude. So Taryn would not be going into no fucking physical fight unless she wants to stab your husband.
And also, I love that. And I also love that Jude, as she's walking in here, she's noting other people's thoughts about Taryn, and she's saying, or she's thinking, she is the daughter of a traitor, the sister of an outcast, and the suspected murder of her husband. That is such a fall from where Taryn was. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting that the court is now regarding her in this manner and seeing her as, like, trash, basically. Like, she has a really bad reputation right now.
Yeah. And so Jude is really trying hard to hone in her sister's likability even to kind of master this, because she's trying to do this for her sister's well-being, so when her sister does come back she's treated better. That's the whole point of this.
And then also to not get caught, because the consequences for getting caught in her head is death.
And at first when she was there, she's like, on her way there she thought it was fine, but now that she's there she's like, I don't know if this is a good idea. Now
she's walking up to the throne room or wherever it is,
about to be for the Inquisition,
second guessing it,
in the inquest. And now she's like, oh fuck man, this isn't good.
This isn't good. I can't do this.
I can't be my sister. She hasn't practiced being her sister since she was a kid, so her and her sister are completely different people now. So she's like really it never has it been under the penalty of death. So
looming over your head while you're pretending to be her.
My God. So I think what they tell her she needs to stand. The court tells her, hey, you need to stand in the areas over here. This is where the accused goes, and so like she gets into that area, and I think that's where she sees Nicasia, Carden, and everybody there, right?
Yes.
And there's like, and she like gives her.
She has to bow.
Yeah, so it's like she does this stuff, and Carden's just like, oh, what great manners you have.
Well, he does say that, but he says it a little bit after.
I love it. It's so funny.
Yeah, I love this. I love this whole scene so much. Yeah. So she walks up to the dais, and then she bows, and she says to herself, which I love, then I remembered myself and make the deep curtsy of someone comfortable with submission to the High King's will. Since I cannot do that while looking at his face, I make sure to keep my gaze on the ground. Like, she's so sassy internally.
She's like, I'm like, do this, but I'm not doing it all the way.
Yeah, like, I have to pretend that I'm okay with being ruled by this fucking betraying toad. I can't look at his eyes while I do it, but
oh my God, it's so funny.
And then Holly notes, the author notes, he regards, well, she says this internally to herself, he regards me with his gold-rimmed black eyes, a smirk hovering on the corners of his mouth. When I read that, I highlighted it in my head. I was like, he knows.
He knows. I knew the minute he said that, he knew. He, like, the minute, like, there was any interaction, he was looking at her, I was like, this guy knows.
The little smirk.
Yeah.
I was like, he knows. But he does say, so next he says the line that you like. So they go back and forth about they need to glamour her. And then so he glamours her.
Well, he knows he's not glamoring her, but he knows he's glamoring her.
Yeah, well, to the show, everyone who doesn't know, he's glamoring her. And then he says, says Carden, tell me the truth. What's your name? Taryn Duarte?
Yeah.
I say with a curtsy. grateful at how easy the lie comes. Daughter of Madoc, wife of Locke, subject to the High King of Elfheim. His mouth curves. What fine courtly manners.
Yeah,
and I was like, he
knows.
fucking knows.
He knew. Because he's like,
knows.
he's Carter's like, I'm not being played like a fool twice.
Yeah,
he knows.
I learned my lesson.
His ass, I know when he's smiling, in my head, I'm thinking he's saying, my queen is back.
Yeah.
That's immediately, I'm thinking, he's like, my queen is here.
She finally here.
Yeah. How can you not see the difference in it? And I think, to be honest, though, I think when you said, like you said earlier, he was drugged. And, like, he's just thinking, oh, there's my, who's going to come in here but my queen,
Yes.
And then so, like, at the time they weren't married, but he's like, who's going to come here but Jude? But now it's like he's looking at her and he's looking at her.
Yes, yeah.
So
he
knows.
That's my girl right there.
Yeah.
The one who looks like she's been through a fucking battle.
Yeah.
Even though she's trying to pretend like she's...
She just got her ass kicked.
Yeah. I imagine she's got bruises all over herself. She's like, no, I'm Taryn.
Yeah. That's how I see it, too. Oh, she's probably got, like, fresh bruising on her neck. And stuff, and probably her face, and her eyes are like a little swollen and tight. She probably does not look like Taryn at all.
No, yeah.
And people are believing this shit, and Carter's like, these fuckers.
You're not gonna fool me.
Yeah, so he knows.
And so of course he asks her while she's glamored, did you kill Locke? She says, no, I didn't. I would have no reason to. Then they also go,
they try to blame Jude. This is another thing. Like, everybody's like, well, she could have. Yeah, she couldn't have done it, but maybe she got her sister back from exile to do it.
Yeah, maybe Jude snuck in here to kill Locke.
Yeah.
Like, Jude would waste her time.
No,
yeah, she might, though, because she owes him a debt.
Yeah, she does. But at this time, like, they don't know that she's just sulking in her own pity at that time about being exiled.
Yes. And then Carden asks her if Jude did go through her exile and killed Locke. And Jude internally says, I wish I could punch him in his smug face and show him how undeterred I am by his exile. She is so sassy. Like, I love her so much because I feel like this is the shit I would be thinking.
I would
like,
be doing
because she's so petty and she's so like, I want to fucking punch you in the face, but I'm gonna smile. I'm gonna say no.
Yes, I enjoy it too. I'm like, this girl, because like there's some things that she isn't even saying, but that she's doing that make me feel like I would have felt and done the same thing. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have to say it. I know exactly how she's feeling.
Because sometimes you're just pissy and petty, and you just do some pissy petty shit.
And that's what she's doing right now.
All the time.
Oh my goodness. So like they pretty much tell her, they pretty much say she could be glamored, that she could be wearing stuff to prevent her from being glamored. She needs to be checked.
Wait, before you go to this one, there is one other line that I want to read before this that they say, because then they have a conversation about, because she says Jude has no ill will against Locke. Oh. And then I think it's Nicasio's like, well, we all know that they had a thing, and maybe she was upset that he chose you and not her. And she says, Jude never loved Locke. And she's saying this to Carden. She says, Jude never loved Locke. My face feels hot, but my shame is an excellent cover to hide behind. She loves someone else. He's the one she'd want dead.
That's right.
And
Carden's like, okay, let's get past this.
Yeah. She's like, I'm pleased to see him flinch.
Yeah,
because he
knows. Oh, that's me.
That's me. Oh, that's me. Yeah. She's mad.
Yeah, and he knows that's her. So it's like,
but she doesn't know he knows.
No, but like,
come on. Crazy dynamic.
Yeah. But yeah, so they tell her, oh, she could be glamored, or she could be wearing something to prevent her from being glamored. And so Carden's like, yeah, let's find out if got anything on you.
Well, then I'll have to take her back to my chamber.
Well, yeah, she's like, I don't want to be undressed here, because she knows that they'll be exposing her scars and stuff. Yep. So she's like, no, how are you going to undress me? My husband just died, so she's playing the woe is me role.
I will not be entertainment for this court.
Yeah, my husband just died, and you guys aren't going to do this to me. And so Carden was like, okay, well, I guess I'll just have to take you to my chambers and look for myself.
Yeah.
And then I think this is when Jude knows.
No, she does not
know. You don't think she knows?
No, because she's freaking out. She's like, how am I going to do this? She doesn't know, because he's talking to her in the chamber, and she's still like, what? Why are you talking to me about this? We'll get to it. She doesn't know yet. Yeah, she does not know.
So she doesn't know.
She's still delusioned by her insecurities and her shit.
So So he's like, let me take her back to my chamber. So now they're walking back to Cardin's chambers, and she is freaking out.
She's freaking out.
Like, whether she knew or not, it doesn't matter. She's freaking out. Like, oh shit, how am I
Because he's
gonna
gonna
do
know.
this? Yeah.
If he strips her.
Yeah, she's like, how am I gonna do this? And then she's like, why would he even want to do this? Is it because he wants to see me through Taryn? Like, she mentions that too. Like, she's going crazy in her head.
Well, because again, her insecurity, he's a big insecurity for her, and she doesn't think that he loves her.
Yeah, so she's going crazy in his head.
Yeah, so it must be that he wants to see
me through Taryn.
Yeah,
maybe he missed me through Taryn. Like, whatever. So yeah, she gets back, and I think he starts asking.
Well, wait, something important happens on the walk there. So as they're walking down the halls, somebody bumps into her. She's carrying like a tray, and a fae bumps into her and like spills the glasses or water or whatever all over her. And she gets down to help pick it up, and the lady slips a blade through her shirt. And Jude is thinking to herself, Fae don't do this. Like, Fae are super together. They don't like crash into you. This was super purposeful. Again, she gets the blade slipped, and then the lady whispers into her ear, your father's coming for you.
Yeah. That's
just like wait for the sign or something. She's like, what sign? And then they have to like quickly, oh, I'm so sorry. Don't bother yourself. And then they walk off. And so
she ends up in the chamber shortly after that. But you know, there's so much happening. Jude is trying not to freak out.
It's like bam, 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 bam. Things are happening.
So Jude gets in there, and like I think this is when Cardin asks her. I don't remember what he asks her, but she pretty much says, "I'm Taryn," because like I think he asks her, "Who are you?" or something like that, or something along those lines. I can't remember specifically what he says, but yeah, she pretty much says, "I'm Taryn. What are you talking about? I'm Taryn," and he's like,
"Yeah, well, I don't think he asked her because he knows." He doesn't realize that she doesn't know.
Yeah, so I think he's pretty much saying something. Oh no, did you get my letters? That's what he says.
Yes.
And she's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm Taryn. Like,
yeah, that is what he says.
Yeah, and he's just like, what do you mean? Don't you think I would know my wife when I see her or something?
Yeah,
like
he
that?
tells her that he knew it was her from the moment he walked into the. But I don't know how to say that word. Burrow.
I don't know either, but we better learn it because it's going to be in it.
It's all through the second part.
Yeah, it's all over the second part. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to say this. The burg. The brug?
Sorry, I don't know.
I don't either.
He recognized her the moment he saw her, essentially. Yeah. And then, he does say that he sent her all these letters. And they're having this conversation where he's also telling her, hey, my counselor said that you betrayed me and you went to go with Matic, but I don't believe it.
Yeah.
And she does something because she like pulls out a dagger.
I can't remember that. I don't remember that part.
But notices that she's. Oh, but he sees. Okay. Sorry, we'll cut this out.
Yeah.
So he says that his counselors have told him that Judah's been working with Matic, but that he doesn't believe that. And then she's so wholly confused right here. She has no idea what's going on because, again, she still thinks that he's buying the fact that she's Taryn. And then he notices that he's angry, and he thinks that he sees that she's angry, but then he looks at her a little bit more and realizes that that she's afraid of him. And he asks her, "Are you afraid?" Or he said, "No, you're afraid, but why would you be afraid of me?" And she says, "I'm not, I lie. I hate you. You sent me to exile. Everything you say to me, everything you promise, it's all a trick. And I, stupid enough to believe you once." And then she sheathes a knife in her hand, and then he's about to say something about it being a trick.
Oh, that's what it is.
And then he sees it. Yeah. He sees that she has a blade, and then the explosion happens, which is what was kind of alluded to with the serpent that bumped into her. This is Father coming to rescue Taryn.
And Cardin is fighting to keep her. Mm-hmm. Cardin is like fighting to keep her. Mm-hmm. And so he just doesn't want to like let her go again. And so I think that's what Matic pretty much like.
Matic comes in and drugs her.
Yeah, gets up behind her.
She doesn't really see any of what happens. There's literally the explosion, and then Matic is there and puts a cloth over her, and she breathes it in, she passes out, and that's pretty much the end of the scene. Yeah. So we don't even know at this point how much he did fight for her, but yeah, like you said, he does. He was fighting for her enough.
Like, yeah, you don't know to the extent of it yet.
Yeah, but then also he thinks, I felt so weird in this moment because like here he is saying, hey, my counselors think you're working with Matic, but I don't believe it.
And then Matic
comes in and takes her away.
But but the thing is he knows. He's the only one that knows that this is Jude. Everybody else thinks this is Taryn.
Yes.
So at this point, I don't think he recognizes that Maddox is saving Jude. I think he thinks Maddox is saving Taryn. And I don't think that he's...
okay, I was worried right now. I was like, no, he's gonna think.
No, I think he knows that everybody thinks this is Taryn right now. Because...
But if she was working with Maddox, then Maddox would know.
Well, his counselors are telling him that, but he knows because of what happened right before she went in exile. He knows that Jude... Because everybody else thinks Jude is with Maddox because that's what she did, Taryn did. But he knows that's not the case.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I think he's like, no, I don't believe it. And they're trying to have that conversation, but they get interrupted. So he knows, in my opinion, that Maddox is trying to save Taryn because everybody believes that Taryn was Jude and Jude was Taryn at that time.
That makes sense.
And so I think that's why I wasn't worried.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I should have had you with me while I was reading because I was worried.
Yeah.
I was like, no, he's gonna think this. I just want them together.
Yeah.
Stop getting in the way.
And now, see, in book one and two, I did not want them together.
No, I didn't either.
But after they got married at the end of book, I was like, what?
Well, like, okay, I did want them to be endgame, but I was okay with waiting until book 3 for this to happen.
Me too. But then when book 2 ended the way it did in book 3, I was just like, now how are they gonna be together?
Now how are they going to do it?
Fucking
Carden?
I love this, though. Yes. I love that, even though I hated that Carden exiled her, I love that he exiled her. That makes sense. It just, it plays into this book.
It does. And then we get them together for a brief fucking second.
Yeah.
And then it's like 5, 10 more chapters of not them together.
Yeah, and then it's a very small part where they didn't even get to explain themselves. So this meeting was almost intensified anxiety.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
I was just like, well,
and because she was confused the whole way through. She didn't know what the fuck was going on. Yeah, she was. No, he wasn't. He knew what was going on.
He wanted to, the whole letters, it was like, what about the letters?
I want to know what your letters say.
Yeah.
You were writing her letters?
Yeah, this whole time? Like, what? So that would have been great for her to get the letters, but I'm glad that she didn't get the letters because she needed to go through her anxiety, her insecurity. She needed to experience that and come back on her own and not...
Yeah, because...
Not like Carden writing.
You're 100% right, because she needed to go through that sort of exile without him helping her out. And for her to figure out her own... To get herself back on track.
Yeah. He thought because she wasn't answering the letters, she was angry with him and decided to stay in the mortal realm. And that's probably why he didn't interfere anymore. But he didn't know she was staying in exile because of the betrayal and her insecurity. Yeah, so they were both miscommunicated.
Because she really thought that he exiled her.
He did exile her, the fucking asshole.
Yeah.
But so Maddox has Jude now, Taryn, he believes.
Yes, he believes it's Taryn.
Yeah, and so he's taking her back to his camp.
Yeah, so
where the Court of Teeth are.
Yep, I think we just wake up and we wake up twice with Jude. Once when she's just in the carriage and she's with Oriana.
Yeah.
And then Oriana says that, Jude asks if he got the High King because, of course, Jude was told that he was going to be dethroned, so she's possibly worried here that Maddox got to him.
Yeah.
Oriana says no, she only had time to grab you and couldn't grab the king. Because
Carden was fighting like a beast to keep her. And then that's when they were like, something must have been really weird about. He really wanted to keep, because they don't know that's Jude. So they were like, why would he really want to keep you?
Yeah.
Like, why would Carden want to keep Taryn? He must have really been pissed off that you killed Locke.
Yeah.
And she's like, I didn't kill Locke.
Yeah,
like, she keeps saying that. I didn't kill Locke, but they all know.
Yeah.
Like, her family knows she killed Locke.
Well, yeah. Who else would have done it?
Yeah, and we all know. And they're like, we don't care. We hated him anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even more reason for us to be happy that you killed him.
Yep. And then she wakes up again at the camp, and Maddox tells her it's been 3 days since since he took her from the throne room.
Yeah.
And he thinks that's when he says what you said, that Carden never intended to let her go. That's why he had to come in there. He said, I doubt that boy king ever intended to let you walk out of that palace. He fought hard to keep you. Half my knights never made it out. We got in easily enough, but the bruch itself closed around us. Doorways cracked and shrank. Vines and roots and leaves obstructed our way. Closed like vices on our necks. Crushed and strangled us. Like, he really pulled in that earth magic to keep her.
He's getting better at it. Because, I mean, besides that one point when he pulled up the island, I don't know how strong he was to try and keep her. I don't know what was going on because Jude didn't really get to see anything.
Mm-hmm.
But like he was really pulling in that magic, and I think he was caught unawares by even them grabbing her.
Yeah, and I'm sure the explosion sort of knocked everything over.
So yeah,
they're really putting him at a disadvantage.
Yeah,
taking advantage of it. So 3 days have happened. They get to the camp with the Court of Teeth, which is a fucking weird ass court.
So it's like snowy, cold type of area. It's in the north. I know that much.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, she's pretty much having to just pretend to be Taryn and make her way through there without getting caught because she's not even sure what's going to happen to her if Maddox finds out that it's Jude in place of Taryn.
Yeah, because she's even saying to she's got a time limit here because they're gonna know. Yeah, they're gonna know that these two have switched.
Yeah, so she's trying to figure out a way to escape this pretty much this whole time while she's there. In the meanwhile,
and we see at the camp when she's there, Grimson.
Yeah,
who is the Smith.
Yeah, and she also notices that when she's there, she's introduced to the Lord Gerald and Lady Nori.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little girl beside him.
Weird situation.
So they used to be king and queen, but they denounced themselves to make their daughter queen. And the reason for that is so that she could pledge herself, or they can now pledge their court to Maddox instead of the High King, because once a new ruler comes into place for the area, they have to vow themselves to somebody. And since the Lord and Lady are vowed to the king,
yes. They call them like changelings, and they're like the kids that the fairies have in their court that they send, I think, to the mortal world to grow up, and then when they need them, they bring them back so then they can make them queen and they can have them pledged to somebody else.
Yeah, and so that's what happened. But it's important to note that Queen Surin, their daughter, looks like she's pretty much being held captive and under control of them, even though she is the queen. She's got these weird straps on her that are sinking into her skin, and pretty much she just looks like she's disinterested or void of any kind of emotion.
Yeah, it's gross, the description. I think she has like some sort of like leash on her too, like, and it's like in her skin. Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah, it's sad. So yeah, they're pretty much, she's introduced to them, and Jude's realizing, oh, this is a fucking dangerous situation.
Yeah, and I like this too interaction that she has, because she ends up going to like the dinner table with them, and then she says, oh, thank you, I feel so privileged to be able to sit at the table with you, and he like looks at Maddox and he's like, it's talking to me. Like,
yeah, like, who are you? Just because you're like you're being taken care of by the general, that doesn't mean you have the right to just talk to us.
Yeah, we're fae. You are a disgusting mortal. So it just shows sort of their opinions and their culture around mortals in general. Yeah. And Maddox sort of gives her like an apologetic, like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, this is just what we have to deal with. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so she also notes that Grimson is at the dinner table, and he is talking about her earrings and saying, I'm surprised your sister even gave them to you. I thought she was going to keep them for herself. And she says something about, I like the fine work or whatever, and he's like, come to my forge and I'll show you more.
Gross.
I know. Okay, first of all, I think that Grimson is like this little fucking troll goblin looking thing. I don't know if he is.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know. He could be.
I like how sometimes we just make up our own.
Yeah.
Well, I just picture him as like some old graying man.
I don't think he's fae at all.
I didn't think he was fae. Okay, because in my head he's like a...
No, I don't think he's fae.
Is he mortal?
I don't think he's mortal. I think he's like... Because he does magic to his items that he creates. So I don't think he could.
Maybe he is like a little gremlin.
I think he is like a little gremlin troll looking thing.
He's gross.
Anyways, he tells her that, and she's just thinking, oh, I'm going to take him up on his offer. She doesn't say that, though. She's just like, oh, okay. And maybe she does say, yeah, I might.
Yeah, she does.
Because Oriana looks at her like... I'm thinking Oriana's starting to feel like something's wrong with her.
I think this is the first indication of that.
Because she looks at her strange and even gives her... And then even Jude's like, ooh, should I have not said that?
Yeah, she's second guessing almost everything she does. Like, oh, was this the thing that gave me away? I couldn't imagine the anxiety.
So much anxiety. So much.
And also, understanding that like her and Maddox are not on good terms right now. Like
No.
they're enemies.
Yeah. So like.
So it's even more than just like, oh, she got caught in Maddox's area. It's like, oh, she's sort of trespassing. Not sort of. I mean, she's against her will though, because she was kidnapped.
And you gotta remember too. Even though Jude doesn't want to recall that she's queen, she is queen right now. Mm-hmm. So like, she recognizes it soon. You know, she remembers soon that she is queen, but like, she's still downplaying her own station.
Well, even here, she does admit to it, which I do like. She says she starts to get angry with Maddox talking about taking the crown because
she's taking my crown.
That's my crown.
Yeah, but right now she's not thinking that. Right now she's kind of just like, I gotta be Taryn. I gotta be Taryn. I gotta be Taryn. And I don't want to be caught. But it's like, girl, if you get caught, it's more than just who you are.
Yeah.
It's what you are.
It's what you are, the queen.
Yeah, and she, like I said, right now she doesn't recognize it until that's when she starts getting angry. Is when Maddox. But that comes a little bit later. Mm-hmm. So they have this dinner, and you know, she talks about. I think the most important thing out of this dinner is Oriana starting to recognize that that's not Jude, and that Grimson is inviting her.
And also during this dinner too, Maddox tells her that King Reuben may join forces with him. And that's a big army, and that's the initial...
That was the one she brought over.
That's the one she brought over. That's the one she killed Bilkin. Not for, but that's what he wanted her to do. She did it, so there's no reason.
No, and that's what she even said. She's like, why would he be in her head? She's like, why would he be doing that? I already fulfilled the bargain.
Yep.
She needs to go back to Cardin.
He has already pledged his allegiance to Cardin.
Yeah, which is important later because there's a reason why Morgan is not with Cardin. It's not actually pledged allegiance to Cardin. It was to her.
It was to her.
Yeah,
I love that part. And so I think they just go back, retire, go to bed. She wakes up the next day and she goes to Grimson's forge.
Yes.
I think Oriana tries to get her to like, oh, let's go knitting, and she's like, or needlework, and she's like, absolutely cannot do that.
Yeah. If I do that, I'm gonna be fucking caught.
They're gonna know. I don't.
Well, she makes a good excuse. She's like, I don't want to go because I don't want to be talking about Locke right now, and she knows that when they do that, they gossip.
They just gossip.
And Oriana's like, oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Just don't. So that was brilliant on Jude's behalf to make up that excuse.
She's so quick-witted.
Oh,
she's so quick with it.
So she goes to Gibson's forge instead, and pretty much is like pretending to like all his stuff, and then he's divulging all this information. Like he's making the sword that rips the earth apart for Maddox. Doesn't specify why, but Grimson says that all his items are cursed.
Yes.
This is very important because no one knows this.
Yes. And it's because he wants his work to sort of live on, and it's almost like if you misuse them, or you break it, or you do something out of what it was meant to be, then a curse will be upon you.
Yeah, because he thinks that nobody else, and that's the reason why he's telling her this, is because he goes, I notice that you appreciate my stuff that I make, and there's not that many people who do. And so he goes on to be like smug about how, oh, if anybody does harm to my items that I create for them. And then Jude recognizes, oh, he gave something to the king. What
during the Hunter's Moon
and
festival.
He even mentions it. He's like, well, didn't you give something to the king? And he's like, yes, I did. It was an earring. And he says, if at any point in time, if a certain word is said, the earring becomes a spider.
Yes.
A really big red spider.
A deadly spider.
Yeah.
With one bite that can kill him.
And we forgot to mention, while she was in his chambers, he saw a spider.
She did see it.
In a glass container, and it was fighting to get out.
Yep.
So she thought, maybe somebody tried to kill the king already.
She gets angry.
Yeah.
Because she's like, it already happened. They already tried to kill him.
Yeah.
And they failed.
Yeah.
Which I think is quite telling about her feelings, because her immediate reaction to this was anger.
Yeah.
Like, how dare they try to kill my man?
Yeah. And so she's starting to get really into this position where her power, her throne, as well as Cardin's, and her affection for him is starting to all come in play.
Yeah.
And so she's not letting it. She's letting it come out more. And this is where I think it starts to do her in about who she is at the Court of Teeth, because people are starting to recognize how she's acting.
Yes. And then also, the earrings, what they do is they had allowed Cardin to eavesdrop. He could hear things from far away.
Yeah, so that was his good thing. So there's always a good thing and a bad thing. He also says to her, like, what did my earrings do?
Yeah.
And he said that if something happens to those earrings, not only the beauty that it gives you is taken away, but your beauty itself gets stripped from you, and you become this old, decrepit person.
Yep.
And she said at that moment she wanted to rip the fucking
Yep.
earrings out of her ears, but she couldn't do that because
like, oh, these earrings right here,
they're so beautiful.
I'll give them right back to you. I don't want them.
Yeah, so he's divulging all this information, and so now she knows that there's a sword being made for Matic. There's curses on everything he makes, yada yada yada. And so I think at that point in time, she decides to leave. She got enough information out, and he goes, "Oh, come back whenever."
I like collecting beautiful things. He says
oh,
to her, creepy old men in this story are being creepy old men.
Because she's young, so even if these guys are in their late 20s, that's still creepy.
Yeah, he absolutely is not, because he served the king, and he served the queen to make the original crown. This is an old man.
Yes.
So ew,
and she's immortal.
Stop it.
So it's not like, oh, fae, no. So yeah. So anyways, she leaves, and I think she decides that she wants to try and find a way to get out. So she starts like looking at the grounds.
Yeah, well, she knows that she has to get out, and she's deciding though at this point. Yes, I need to do this like tomorrow.
Yeah, but then on the way back, she bumps into Matic.
Yeah, he's like sitting at the fire.
Yeah, I think they have like a drink together or something, and this is where they kind of have this heartfelt discussion that she would have never had if she was Jude. Because now this is a Taryn discussion with Matic.
Yeah.
And so this is interesting because, Jude thought that, they didn't really have any kind of bonding. It was mostly between her and Matic herself. Mm-hmm. But now that she's having to be Taryn, she sits down and, Matic confesses that, hey, I know it looks as if I was always there for Jude and not you, but it was just me and her had more in common. But I respect the fact that you stayed with family, and you are doing this for family, and you've never wavered, pretty much. And he says that when the time comes, he's king or whatever, he's going to make sure that she's well taken care of.
Yeah. Which I think is so annoying, because, like, Matic would sell his family down the road if it gave him...
He is selling his family down the road.
If it gave him the power that he coveted. So the fact that he's just, oh, I love how loyal you are to family. It's just like...
It's not loyal to family, it's loyal to him.
Loyal to him.
Yeah.
It's just eye roll, because, come on, Matic. You don't covet that. You just, again, covet the fact that she is unwavering in her support for you.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that in some way, I think he does love these girls, but I think his own ambition and goals cloud his judgment and oversee that. Because when they were kids, there's no reason for him to have treated them so kindly.
Yes.
It could have been like Belkin and Carden.
Yes.
Where Belkin just saw a usefulness for him in the future, whereas, because Belkin and Carden, the reason why he brought Belkin in is because of his hatred towards Dane.
Yeah.
But, like, there was none of that. Like, he took those girls in, and he didn't need to.
And he does love them, and he does do things that show that he loves them. And so he's such a complex character, because he did do all these really great things for the girls, but he's just so power hungry, and it's just in his nature. Like, that is the fabric of his being. He cannot escape this. So
now he's like, now that they're grown ass adults, it's like he's becoming toxic.
Yeah.
Well, he was always toxic, but now it's like he's now finding usefulness to them.
That's the thing. Now he's using them.
Yeah, and it's like, that's so shitty, man. Like, but he just tried to show his daughter at this point, like, look, I appreciate for you standing by, even though whatever. And he wants to reward her with that. And even that's when he has a conversation with Taryn Jude about how, I'm glad you killed Locke.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was that, in my opinion, that was the most supportive thing he said, which is kind of weird because it's about murder. But that was the most supportive thing he said. He's like, I hated him anyway, so I'm glad you did it, and I will support your decision in killing him.
Yep.
But this is a Grand General. Of course he's going to support that decision of killing him.
Yes.
So he's like, I just like him a lot more now.
Because he's dead.
Yeah. So I think that, if anything, out of that whole statement, that was the most sincere thing.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then also here, he does divulge sort of his plan. She weasels it out of him in a really good way without seeming too Jude about it. She's just sort of like, oh, well, so how do you think you're going to defeat the king? And he says that he's going to challenge him to a duel.
Oh my god.
Which I think is the silliest thing.
Yeah, a duel for love, he says.
A duel for love, and also, like, you're gonna challenge the king to a duel. He's not gonna accept your duel.
No, he didn't. He knows that he's not.
He's not gonna duel you,
No.
bro. I
You're
don't know
the
what the
Grand
plan is
General.
here.
Of course he knows he's not going to duel you.
And yeah, for love and for duty.
Yeah.
And he says there's no banquet too abundant for a starving man. And he elaborates to say that for what we want most, we will take almost any chance. And then he's talking about Cardan. There's a prophecy that he would make a poor king, and it hangs over him. But he believes his wit and charm are the way to free him from this fate. So let's see him try. I'm going to give him a chance to prove he's a great king, and if he doesn't, then we're going to duel. Like, Cardan has no care to prove a duty to
He already
prove that
has
he's
the
the
crown.
best.
He doesn't need to do that.
Why does
Yeah.
he need to? He's not going to duel you, Maddox. I don't know what the.
I
And for
know.
love, and I think this is a callback to Jude, because again, everybody thinks that they're just like two helplessly in love
people, and it's like, but he already exiled his so-called person that he loved.
Yeah.
Even though that he doesn't know that's the queen yet, he knows that Cardan exiled him. So, like, what love? What love do you think he's going to duel you for?
Yeah.
At this point, because even Cardan himself has exiled his own love.
Yep. So I don't understand what the game plan is.
I don't know. I thought
here.
that was a weird thing, but Maddox being Maddox, I don't think he cared for that. He only knows dueling and fighting anyway, so I don't think that was showing Cardan's. I think that was showing Maddox's
Yes.
head.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only thing. That's the only way I can explain why he would think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because Cardan wouldn't. If you know Cardan in this scenario, he's not going to agree to that.
No, absolutely not. I mean, he's not a duelist.
No.
That's not what he does. He's
No.
never been good at that.
And that was a good, the back in the other books when Belkin tried to make Cardan duel, he wouldn't. But of course, Maddox doesn't know that.
Yes.
So it's almost like that's good to know that we know that Cardan was never going to duel.
Yeah. And then Manic also admits here too that he's no longer interested in serving, that he wants to rule. So this is more than just he's trying to steal for the teeth of the court of the teeth or anybody
or
else.
Or putting Oak on the throne. He doesn't want to do anything. He wants to be king.
He wants to, which we knew saw this a mile away.
That's what he wanted. It was never to rule through somebody else.
Nope. And he also says that they share a common, him and Taryn share something common because both of their marriages ended in tragedy. And that he also says that maybe what he did sort of messed their childhood up, and so that if you feel like the burden is too big for you to carry the fact that you murdered Locke, then put it on me, because at the end of the day, I was the catalyst that started everything that happened to you guys. So I thought that was a really touching thing. And again, this is something that shows that he does truly care for these girls, but then he just he doesn't care about them more than he cares about power. Yeah. And so that's so interesting to me.
Because at the end of the day, he will always put his need to be king before anybody else. Even if he turns his back against his whole family, even though he's praising her for always being there for the family, he's not.
Yeah. That's what's wild to me.
Yeah.
But again, as you pointed out, it's not praising for the family. It's praising for their loyalty to him.
Yeah. And he's loyal to himself. So that doesn't matter what anybody else, what he does to anybody else, as long as he's loyal to himself, and he wants everybody to be loyal with him, to him.
Yes.
So that's why.
Okay, Maddox. Whatever.
Yeah.
So then after the conversation, she leaves and she goes back into her tent and she's like, "I need to go out and explore."
Get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
Because she's sharing a tent right now with Oriana.
Yeah. And
so she's thinking, okay, when Oriana goes to sleep, I'm gonna sneak out and I'm going to walk around the camp and look at everything and figure out how to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, so this is her attempt to finally get out, and she thinks she's finally got it because she's been paying attention to the guards and everything. And so she does get out, and she sneaks to the point where she sees a guard, and the guard's like, well, what do I tell Maddox if he's asking? You just say, I don't care what you tell him
I'm at the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm using the bathroom, whatever. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we don't want to talk about that. So
your humanly habits.
Yeah, so on her way out, she's got all her food, snacks, whatever, for her little ride back home. Because I think she's even going to steal one of the mounts. I think she's thinking about doing that. Yeah. But she's got to get through this cave thing first before she does.
I think what happens is when she was walking to go see Grimson's forge, she notices that there's a cave.
Yeah.
I think she heard something out of the cave.
Yeah.
And so as she's walking this time to go leave, she wants to go see what's in the cave before she leaves.
Because she's hearing crying and moaning and stuff like that. She thinks, what if it's somebody I know that they captured? So yeah, she goes over there, but she's doing it in a manner where she has to like hide over the guards and stuff. So I think she's like, in my head, she's climbing this wall type thing, and then she's like above.
Yep.
And then she like
that's what I thought too.
Gets
She like drops down.
Yeah, drops down.
Not quietly. They heard her. They didn't see her though.
But the funny thing is the person who was there recognizes her immediately and goes, Jude, because the person who knows,
the person in the cave,
the person in the cave who heard her fall knows her intimately on a level of training.
Knows her falls very intimately.
Yeah.
In fact, may have trained her how to fall.
Because it was Ghost.
Fucking Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost is like tied up on a chair.
Just throw that shit.
Like, fuck you, Ghost.
Fuck you, Ghost. I'm so upset at the Ghost. I am though.
No, I was still like,
I'm a little less upset now that we know what happened, but I'm still just like.
But reading it, I was like, why? Okay, so it's Ghost.
Fucking stab his ass right there.
Yeah, it's like, and he even tells her, he's like, look, I know you have no reason to rescue me. You have every reason to be pissed off at me. And she's pretty much just like, why did you do it? And I think this is when he tells her, well, this whole like deception thing that's been going on. He thought the minute he found out that the woman that he poisoned was Locke's mom or Oak's, or he doesn't know it's Oak yet, or he does know it's Oak now. But at the time, he didn't know it was Oak's mom, and so he thought that the baby was dead. And then when he found out that the child was alive, he thought it was Locke.
Yes.
Which, okay, we're gonna have to jump back to that later. Anyway, so he thought it was Locke, and so he goes to Locke, the only child left.
So I don't think he thought it was Locke.
He goes to Locke though.
Oh, he does go to Locke, but he goes to Locke because he thinks that he killed a baby and a mother, and he feels so guilty about it that he knows she has a son. So he goes to the next son.
The only living. Okay, that explains a lot because I'm like, how would he know because of the age difference?
Yeah.
So okay, so that makes sense. So he goes to the only living son because he thought that the son. I don't know. I thought he said the son was alive. Either way, he knew of a son that was alive, and so he pledged his allegiance to Locke because he knows that was.
Gave him his name.
Yes, gave him his name, and when he gives him his name, now he can control him. So Locke, being controlled by Ghost. Who also lets know that now Taryn knows.
Taryn does know, yeah.
Because that she married him.
And because he was careless in front of her. He said a lot of things in front of her.
Yeah, so Taryn does know that Locke, you'll find this in the future, that Locke was, Ghost was being controlled by Locke. And so Locke was pretty much using Ghost as a way to like play his petty games. And so that's what was happening. Used Ghost to like work for the Undersea at that time because him and Acacia are friends.
Well, what he did, he did do that.
Yeah, and so that's why Jude got kidnapped by them. And Ghost said, "I thought it was just petty ass games because that's all he did. So I didn't know, and there was nothing I could do anyways because he's controlling me."
But yes, you're right. And then he gives that name to Maddox as the dowry for Taryn.
Yes. And so that happens right after, during that wedding. So right after he betrays her, now he's devoted to Locke.
Yep.
And
devoted to Maddox.
Or Locke and Maddox. Yeah.
Sorry.
So
lots of names.
Anybody who has his name now, so far, 2 people have his name. Well, 3.
Well, Locke doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, Locke doesn't have it, so still 2 people.
Yeah. So at the time, there was 3 people who had his name. Taryn, Locke, and Maddox. So his name's being spread around like fucking candy.
Yep. And they're using it, and they commanded him to do all those things. He didn't really want to do them, and he was kind of forced to do them. And at this point, too, he's asking, I don't know why I keep getting confused. He's asking Jude to kill him because it's the easier thing. Like, please just kill me.
Because everybody can control me right now, and I don't want to be controlled anymore. Just kill me. And she's just, no, I'm not gonna kill you. Like,
I think she wanted to at first. She was ready, but then she said, she said something funny too. Like, I would have killed you, but I'm afraid that you would die loudly.
Yeah.
And he was like, I would have.
I would die very loudly. And that's what he said. Don't kill me until I at least tell you this first, and then you could kill me. But
and then she ends up just sitting down and like giving him the snacks, and he's like, I know that look. You're scheming. And she's like, yeah.
You don't leave with snacks for just a short walk into a cave.
Yeah.
Because you got a lot of stuff. And she tells him, I'm going to escape. But I have to. She wants to get him out, but she can't because the keys are at Grimson's, Grimson's Forge. She remembers seeing them there, and he is stuck there until it, because nobody can get this out. Like no one can unchain him.
And it's like a crystal key too.
Yeah,
it's like a cool, which I just so cool.
Yeah,
like
it is.
How pretty is that? So yeah, so she ends up deciding
she's gonna wait another.
All right, I'm gonna get him out, and because I think she just wants to take him back to the palace so that he could get whatever punishment he's gonna get there, but wants to at least get him away from Matic. Because one, he's under Maddox's control, so that's a dangerous weapon for Maddox to have.
Yeah.
But also, I think she sort of understands, because that was her trainer. Like, that betrayal was really hard.
It was.
But then to understand that he was really kind of forced to do this against his will is sort of tugging at those heartstrings.
Yeah. So she's like, I just got to get you out of here for those many different reasons. But yes. the smart thing is to do is just get you out of here.
Yes.
She doesn't want to kill him.
Yeah, or watch Maddox, because they're not feeding him, they're not taking care of him, so either he's gonna die there due to just pure neglect, which she doesn't want.
She doesn't want. So no, she decides that she's gonna come back for him, and she tells him that. And so she leaves, and she's just like, well, I'm just gonna go back to my tent. Or a tent. She's gonna go back to the tent. And because she has her own tent at this point.
No, she doesn't.
Not yet.
Nope, not yet. She goes back to the tent.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because
Oriana is up, and Oriana calls her out. Essentially, is like, you are not Taryn. You're Jude. Yeah. She's like, you're lucky I got to the guard before the guard went to Matic, and I just dismissed him and told him whatever story she did. And she's like, tell me right now what's going on. And she tells her, I mean, Jude really isn't at fault here. Jude's like, yo, I came here to help Taryn.
Yeah.
I got kidnapped by Matic. I'm just trying to escape.
I don't even want to be here. You guys brought me here.
I don't want to be here.
I was on my way back to going home. Like, I really was doing this for Taryn. I didn't want to do this.
It was a go in, do the plan, get out, go back to exile, whatever.
Yeah.
And Oriana, I think, does sort of believe her. And it's like,
she respects it. She's like, well, I'll get you out of here. But then after that, like, you need to fucking go back.
She essentially says to her, I'm going to write Viv, and I'm going to tell Viv where you are, and to come get you, and you're going to promise me that you are not going to interfere with your dad's stuff. Whatever he's doing while you're here, do not interfere with it. And she lies and promises she will, or she won't.
So the letter gets out, and she pretty much, at the next day, Oriana's just like keeping her fucking eyes locked on this girl, on Jude the whole time.
Giving her a whole bunch of chores.
Yeah, just to keep her right there.
Occupied, She also tells Jude the prophecy of Cardan as well, and says that if you're disappointed in him now, don't worry, because he's a big disappointment. Everybody's disappointed in him. Which is so sad. It's like, give him a break, yo.
And it's like, he didn't even want to be king in the first place.
And it's so interesting to have this dynamic of us seeing behind the curtain of what's really going on, and then also having everybody's perspective of it. So seeing like, oh, he's a bad king, and oh, he's gonna ruin things, and oh, don't worry, he's a disappointment, or other people saying to her all the time, he's gonna be your weakness. Like their perceptions of what's going on and what Jude is being told. So interesting. I love it.
It's so like, now she's like, I gotta figure out a way to get to the forge, get the key, get Ghost out of there, because she still wants to escape. She still does. She still wants to escape the way that Oriana is setting up, but she just needs to get Ghost out. So I think at this point, she finds a way to get. I don't know. I don't think at this point she does anything to where she can actually escape. I think she's pretty much stuck, but she's being told that she's going to get her own wounds at this point.
Well, Oriana at this point, then as she's giving her a bunch of chores to do, tells her, hey, your dad wants you to bring him coffee or tea or some shit.
So she goes to see him, and I'm scared. I'm like, oh shit. I'm wondering if he figured it out.
Yep. I think Jude is also scared as she's walking over there.
So, but this is important because she does go there. She does talk to her. She does give her coffee or whatever, and I don't know if they have a whole conversation. Oh yeah, he says, I'm gonna give you your own
tent. I told you I would give you things that you want for your loyalty. Is basically what he says.
This is when she goes over and kisses him on his cheek or whatever, and she sees the map.
Yep, she's glancing at the map.
Yeah,
she's seeing the map.
Ooh, this girl, she was so close. She was so close, but her eyes could not.
I mean, could you blame her? Because I would be looking at that map too.
It's Jude. She couldn't help herself.
Because this man is after your crown.
Yeah.
Like, it may be after Carden's, but it's also after yours.
And that's what she says. Yeah, at that point when she's figured it out, she's like, she's ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe
Matter got her going.
The map that she sees too is the map of the formation for the sea.
Yeah.
The sea formation and all of the people that he has with him too. So it's a good map.
It's a telling one.
You can't blame her for sneaking a peek.
So she does. She does, and then she leaves, and she's getting her own tent or whatever at this point, and I think she does go back to her own tent.
Yeah, she goes to her tent and she's like decorating it or whatever, and Oriana comes in. She's
like,
why are you doing this? You're leaving tomorrow.
Yeah, and she's just like, well, I gotta play the role pretty much until then. So she does, and I can't recall after this. I think she finds a moment to where she's sleeping.
Yeah, she goes to
sleep.
I
love this
part.
So I love this part. It's so great. Yeah, so she goes to sleep and she's like resting easy, like she's like, oh, this is the best sleep I've had.
And somebody came to repay that little wake up call that she did to them in like book 2.
Yeah, so she's like sleeping. All of a sudden, she feels a hand on her mouth, and she's like fighting her way out of it. She like elbows somebody. She hears a weird noise, and then somebody giggling about it.
Yep.
And so she wakes up.
Why would you put your hand over her mouth?
Especially if you know her.
You know her, yeah.
You know her really well.
And so so she hears the giggling.
Yeah.
And it's Roach.
Yeah.
And
she's like, "Why are you here?"
She had said like, "Why would you wake me up like that? Like, I'm gonna do swinging." And he's like, "I told him not to."
Yeah. Well, he says, "I would told him not to, but he doesn't take orders."
Oh, he doesn't take orders. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna give orders to the High King. And she goes, "Wait, what? What? The High King sent you?" And he goes, "Not quite." And then Carden just steps out.
It's Carden.
And
well,
he's like,
Carden is on the floor.
Yeah.
She got him.
Yeah, he's like, oh. And so he goes, "Can't we just rescue you?"
I know. Can't you just be rescued? God.
Can we just rescue you?
Oh, I love this. I don't know why he thought putting his hand over her mouth was like, obviously she was gonna fuck you up.
Oh, I know. It was hilarious.
But I love that it's a little callback to how she woke him up when he was sleeping in
the
chambers.
That's what you get,
Well, he certainly got payback for that.
Yeah.
For doing that.
It's funny because when she did that to him, he brings her in and cuddles with her. And she like elbows the shit out of him. But she didn't know that.
She didn't know, yeah.
Fair.
She didn't have a moment to process that before she was just attacking.
No, well, she's already in an enemy's camp, her own father's enemy's camp, so she's really fucking nervous.
Yeah,
I'm surprised she was even able to sleep at all.
Yeah. She slept like a baby, apparently.
She did. She was like, oh, this is so great. And then, like, fucking getting hands over her mouth. So, yeah.
And so Roach tells them essentially that Viv...
they're all out there waiting.
Viv was out there waiting. Viv got word. Viv brought everybody. She went to Carden. Or no, Carden went to
Viv.
To Viv.
Because he was like, where is she?
Where did she go? Yeah.
And Viv is like, what? What is going on? And then they get the letter. And they ask Carden, like, is this for real? Like, what the fuck is going on? And so now they all decided that they're just going to come save her.
And I like that Jude takes a moment to think about like imagining Carden showing up in their like shitty apartment, knocking on the door, sitting on the couch and stuff, like drinking their bad coffee.
Yeah.
But she thinks it in a negative way. She's like, he probably hated all of this.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't.
Jude, you need to just stop.
I know her insecurities are so bad.
You can't blame her though because he exiled her.
Well, even before that, when they grew up together, like how he was treating her this whole time. So yeah, but it's finally like he's finally telling her that he wants to be with her and all this other stuff made her a queen, and she still can't get past it.
I mean, the problem is that he's doing these like show type things instead of just fucking saying it to her. Like if he would have just sat down with her in that moment of maybe asking her to be queen and made it crystal clear how he felt.
Yeah, and I think the
she
thing is though, he makes a good point in the future. But he says why. But like he also is trying to do this shit to impress her. He thinks that that's what they do. He thinks that they have a back and forth game.
Yeah.
But okay, see, hers is for survival.
Yeah.
He thinks it's a fucking game.
He does think it's a game.
He thinks it's a love game.
Yeah.
He thinks that's what they do. Oh, we like each other.
Oh, it's this cute back and forth thing.
No, she's just like, I'm trying to fucking survive here.
I'm trying for you not to kill me or betray me or backstab me.
And he's just like, oh, this is our love game. This is our love talk.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, that's not.
It's interesting to see their two different perspectives on this because it's like, did you completely forget that you like grabbed her braid and like yelled at her and told her to like bow down? Like, did you forget what you did to her?
He's not understanding his emotions, and he was confusing his infatuation for her.
Because again, he has this distorted idea of what getting attention and getting love, how to get that.
It was so bad. It's so bad, but I'm glad that he's taking a step out of that. But right now, it's like he's slowly stepping out of it. Because even now, he's still thinking their love language is a game.
Yes, he is confused, but he is a quick learner.
Yeah, he's starting to learn, because now it's getting less and less and less toxic.
And also now he is seeing that he is scared of, she is scared of him, where he never thought that.
Yeah, because he was always scared of her.
Yep.
So now he's recognizing that they both are, and so he's like, oh, I gotta tone this down.
And they do have a conversation about this too later, where they do sort of acknowledge like that they're both wearing armor and what to do about it. But it is so lovely to see it play out like this, and to watch him be confused.
Yeah, he's so confused.
But then get his shit together.
Yeah, he's like, okay, I'm dumb. This is stupid. I'm doing something wrong. Why is she acting like this? Okay, then I need to stop doing this.
Yes.
Yeah. So he is a quick learner, but he's got bad habits taught by shitty fucking fae. So,
but she's no better. Also,
either. Like she was raised by a shitty ass fae.
And then the fact that he's doing things like he came to rescue you, like the king. He didn't send somebody to come and rescue you. He came and rescued you. Like, but still in her head, she's like, "What's his game? What's he trying to get at?"
I mean, that's what I said to them too. Just doing this to each other at this point.
I love it though. It never seems overplayed. It seemed like I get the rationale for each of them, and I'm just happy that eventually
they
get their shit together.
Yeah, because and it's slowly but surely. Because in the beginning it was so bad, but every time they have an interaction, it's like they're starting to understand each other.
Yeah, they're starting to see the damage that not talking not having these conversations about what their feelings truly are, how that's damaging to
and
them.
how they were raised has affected their relationship.
Outlook.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm glad that they are recognizing every time they encounter each other.
Yes.
So, now that they're trying to break her out, she's like, I can't leave. And he's like, what the hell? Let me save
Let
you.
me just save
and
you.
she's like, well, he's got ghosts and he can't have ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
And so Carter's like, well, if you're going to go, I'm going with you.
Yes.
And she's just like, I'm not even going to try and argue with him.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like, let's go. But don't fuck my world up. Like, we got shit to do. So Carter and Roach, because Roach is even just like, what? He's got ghosts? And so, like, anyways, I don't think they even have a discussion of the betrayal. I think if they did, it's a very small discussion. But Carden, Roach, and Jude try to go to the forge to get the key. And while they're there, they're trying to make sure they don't set any booby traps off, because it is Grimson.
Yes.
And I think they find the key, but they also notice that the sword is there.
Yes, and I want to go back just a second, because we forgot to mention they do have a conversation about a bargain, because she's still in the headspace that she needs to be allowed passage back to Elfheim. Like, she needs to be excused of her exile. And so she says that he can, I think the bargain is that he can come along, or, no, the bargain is that she has all of this information. She knows who's on Maddox's side. She knows the formation of the map. She knows everything, and she'll give that to Carden if he promises her safe passage. Yeah. And he says something here, he promises to give her the means to end her exile. And she says, if he thinks, she says internally to herself, if he thinks I don't know better than to agree to that, then he's forgotten everything worth knowing about me.
Yeah.
And so she says, like, no, I don't want the means. I want you to promise me that I can get away from my exile. And he's like, I promise you.
Yeah, he's like, you just don't even have an idea that you can do it anytime.
Yeah.
But, like, she has these thoughts throughout the whole fucking time that she is her own savior.
Yeah.
And he's giving her that means.
Yeah,
and
but
she just doesn't want to. She just wants him to be like, give me the actual facts.
Yeah, don't faerie me. Well, because it does kind of sound like, oh, I'll give you the means to get back. Yeah. It's like, of course she's gonna be like, no, I want you to say
it. Yeah.
And he agrees. He says, if you come back, then
you can come back.
You can come back. Tell me everything that you know, and you're no longer exiled. And then she feels like, okay, I did it.
Yeah,
I'm back.
And
he's got nothing else on me now.
Like, oh my god, just let's go. I'm trying to save you, and you're worried about being exiled. Like, I'm your king, and I'm not bringing you back. Like, come on. Like, of course I'm not gonna exile you. Like, oh my god.
And they do have the sort of back and forth too with Roach too, where she says, we have to go get Ghost, we have to go to the forge. And then he says, Roach says, like, no, I don't want you to go. And she says, or he says to them, like, I have the cloak of Mother Marrow, which is like, it like blocks sharp objects.
Yeah, that's like what Carden says.
Yeah, he's like, I have this cloak, and like I'm fine, I can handle it. But you would rather. But okay, if shit hits the fan, I promise I will run with my tail between my legs. And since I have a tail, it should be quite amusing to you guys. But then, so yes, they all have their bargains. Carden's gonna leave when shit hits the fan. And Jude can come back as long as she provides the information.
Yeah.
So then that's when they go to the forge.
So, yeah, they're at the forge. They see everything, and they notice that the sword is finished and completed. And I think Carden is the one that notices the the um the key, because I think it was misplaced. So, anyways, they find the key, and they're about to go, and a little bird comes out of somewhere, like an iron bird.
Yeah, I think it's when they grab the key, when Jude grabs it.
And then like an iron bird comes out and says, "Thief, thief, thief."
Yeah.
And like poisonous arrows start to shoot out, and Carden's got that cape, so he's like holding on to Jude and kind of hovering.
Yeah, he like steps in front of her and like blocks it. And then they have this moment where he looks at her like, and she internalizes that to us as, oh, he looks shocked that he protected me. Jude.
I know.
He's not shocked that he protected you. He's
No.
He's
probably just shocked that he's being able to protect her.
Yeah, like it wasn't a, oh, why did I protect her? Which I think is how she internalized it. It was
No.
like, oh my god, I protected her.
She didn't protect me, I protected her.
Yeah.
That's how, yeah.
Yeah.
She sees things so differently. And when Carden's just this little person who's just wanting to impress her, you know. And anyways, so they realize that Roach is injured.
Yeah, Roach got
like,
hit.
He's like really like not doing so well. He realizes it's immediate poison.
Yep.
So at that point, they find a way to get out of the forge, and I think while that's happening, she tells Carden, just take Roach and get him back to Bomb so he could like survive this. And so Jude is, I think they have this like little banter back and forth. I don't think he wanted to do that. He said, "Make this promise to me." I don't remember what the promise is. That she's gonna go right back to.
Yeah, he doesn't. He wants her to come with him to go, and she says, "No, I have to go." She says, "No, my sisters are waiting for me. I need to go to them
because they don't know that's happening right now."
And he says, "Okay, well, here, take my cloak. Promise me you're gonna go." Or he's like, "Promise me you just run, run." And she said, "Okay, I'm just gonna run."
I mean,
to my sisters is what the promise was.
Yeah. And so, anyways, Carden leaves with I think he rides the steed and gets out. And so Jude, I think, is on her way to her. No,
she goes straight to the bomb or to the ghost.
Yeah,
knowing full well she lied. She lies to this boy so much.
Yeah, so she's trying to like save Ghost now, even though now they're alerted. They're alerted that there's a thief in the mist.
Yeah.
And now. So yeah, I don't want to say it yet. So she goes to Ghost right away. And while she's there, she realizes there's nobody in this fucking chained up area anymore. Maddox is standing there.
Yup.
And so she now realizes her cover is fucking blown.
Yup.
And Maddox, she pretty much tells, when did you figure it out? And he goes, too late. I do not like to admit. He's like, it was your eyes wandering on the map.
Yep.
And that gave her away.
He's like, and then everything else that
Came
you
into
did
place.
tilted.
Yeah.
And I knew it was you. It tilted and it looked like you, and I knew. I loved how he said that.
Yeah, because he did not have any kind of impression that it was Jude up until I look at the map, and then, he's like, it's been Jude this whole time.
That's Jude. Yeah. It's weird, though, because I feel like anybody would have looked at that map. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a map sitting there.
Taryn wouldn't have, though.
You'd think Karen would have came in there, give him a kiss, and not at all glanced at the map on his desk.
You know what? I think that's why he was able to figure that out, because maybe Taryn just doesn't do that shit. She was so obedient, so, like, did not give a fuck about that kind of stuff, that it got to, that's probably why he was able to be like, yep, for sure this is not. And maybe he was even wondering little bits here and there. Their conversation was even kind of weird. But that map look, it probably wasn't even just a glance at the map. It was probably like a linger of the map.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Taking
an
good
interest.
notes.
Yeah.
More of an interest.
Because Taryn probably would have maybe glanced at it and been like, oh, okay. But
like, I don't
she
care.
probably just had her whole eye on the map while she was.
She got a little too lost into the map. Yeah.
I think that's what it was. And so, so they have this encounter, and she pretty much, I think he says he wants to fight, or duel or whatever, and I think she's pretty much doesn't want to.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, hold on. I don't know if that can be picked up. I want to break it here for a second because I think we're missing something. Meet in the cave.
Jude gets her own time. Kind of goes back to Rosemary. Meet in the cave.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Jude asks where Ghosts is. That's right.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
we
missed
did
that.
miss that. Okay, it's a good thing before I didn't say get out of the cave. So yeah, so Maddox and her have this conversation, and he pretty much tells her the whole reason why he realized it was her.
And then he says also that she asks where Ghost essentially is, and he says the ghost has been. He doesn't say the ghost has been sent to kill Carden. He just says that the ghost. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm stumbling through this. I don't know what. I don't.
No, I don't think he said so he tells her she asks where Ghost is, and I think at this point he just says that wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be cool? Not cool. Wouldn't it be? I don't. It says great, cool, or whatever. There's an adjective there that I do not know what he says, but pretty much alluding to the fact that the High King dying in the throne room.
Yes, and that's
somebody who was on the rafters.
May or may not be where Ghost might have been sent.
Because he doesn't say.
He doesn't say
Ghost.
Specifically.
Yeah, because he can't lie too. So you got to remember
Yes.
that. She just asks where Ghost is, and he says pretty much completely disregards that and says the whole. Wouldn't it be grand if the king died in the throne room?
Yes, yeah.
That's all he says.
Yeah. And then also he says that they have a conversation about whether or not Carden would be a good king and that Maddox would be the better king. And she says, I think it's time that Elfhame had a queen instead. And he laughs at her and says, Carden will never make you queen. I love that so much.
Yeah, it's like, oh, dude, she already is. You're speaking to the queen.
You are speaking to the queen, sir.
Yeah.
And then he also says that boy is your weakness, but worry not, his reign will be short.
And it's like, this guy has so much confidence, and that's his problem is he's underestimating both Carden and Jude the whole time. And it's crazy that he continues to still underestimate Jude. Of all people.
Even though she is where she is. I mean, I guess now she's exiled, so now he's probably like, she hit her peak.
Up until even the exile, like the fact that she was even exiled, that she was a threat enough to be exiled.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, she killed Belkin.
She has a piece on his board.
Yeah.
Like, why are we still underestimating her?
I don't understand. But yeah, so...
And she does not want to fight him because obviously he's the better fighter.
Yeah, but so she has no choice because he like pretty much lunges to her, and I think she starts to run.
Yep, she runs from the cave.
runs out the cave and runs through the woods, and I think at one point in time she just can't keep running, so she stops and catches him off guard and stabs him right on the side between the armor, but doesn't go all the way through.
Yeah, it just hurts.
Yeah,
but didn't go through. And then he says to her, you were always good, just never good enough.
And that's like, there you go, underestimating her.
Yeah, maybe she's not as good as you in hand-to-hand combat, but that's not all it takes to win.
Yeah, so like he like boots her, I think, and like kicks her off or whatever, and she goes stumbling back. And then I think they have this...
they do have like a little sword fight situation that goes on, though I don't think she has her sword. I think she's with a dagger.
Yeah, and I think at this point he goes to hit her, and then he recognizes that it doesn't go through the cape.
Yeah,
and he's just like, oh, you think you're fucking clever. Grabs her by the cloak, and I think he rips it off of her.
Yeah, the ties rip.
Yeah.
And then that's when he stabs her.
Stabs her,
I think in like
the
side.
Yeah, like stomach area. His own daughter, and I think he was very surprised by this too.
Yeah.
I think it caught him off guard.
They were both a little
surprised. Yeah, and I think this is when he like yanks it out of her, and then kind of just stands back, and then just like, I don't know what he does after this. I was kind of like,
she anticipates internally that he's going to kill her because you do the wounded, and it would be a mercy then at this point.
They had that little conversation. I forgot about that. But as they were having that little conversation, that's when arrows start to come towards Maddox, and then he looks up and he notices Viv. Is Heather there?
No, it's Viv, Taryn, and
Oak is even there, I think, right?
No, just Grim, Taryn, and Grima Mog.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Grima Mog,
who I think Heather has Oak on the side.
Yeah, I don't think that we mentioned this when we first met her, but she is a renowned. She was a general in the Court of Teeth. I believe. She's like Maddox level. People know her. Maddox reveres her. She's a badass fighter.
Yeah.
And so here she is.
She was exiled for being a fucking like ruthless badass.
Yep, and of course she's eating fae. So that's just
she's
another.
She's crazy.
So Maddox sees sees her too and is like, oh my god,
shit, yeah.
Oh my god, come to my side. We could
Yeah.
do anything for you.
Yeah.
We could do it all. And he's making all these promises too. And then Jude, as she's fucking laying down dying, she's like, Did you clear that deal with the court of days?
Yeah. And like before this too, Vivi is saying to her, like, hello, father.
Yeah.
Like, if you do anything to my sister, I will fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
She's throwing these arrows too and she's missing, and Jude's like, I hope he thinks she's purposely missing.
Yeah.
Because she's not a good shot.
No, she's not. But at the same time, she's at least like defending her sister. And Taryn even is getting pissed off that he's doing this shit. Because Taryn's there.
Yeah.
And so they're pretty much like all protecting. And this is a pivotal moment for me for reading this book. There's his whole fucking family. Even with Grima Mog.
Yep.
A revered fucking fighter who is known to eat other fae.
Yeah.
Is telling you what the fuck, man.
You just stabbed your own daughter. Like, that's the level you're willing to go to get to power. Because she didn't challenge him.
No, she didn't.
You kidnapped her.
Yeah.
So you created this whole situation, stabbed her. To slightly his credit, he is worried about Jude. He's asking.
Yeah.
He's even saying,
like, I just want to do mercy.
Don't like they're trying to shoot arrows at him, and he's like, I just want to get her. She's gonna die. If we leave her here,
let's get her back.
Let me just get her to the camp, or she's gonna die.
Yeah, he actually does. He says, "Let me take you back to the camp. Let me heal you, get you better." But at this point, like, you're gonna be with me then.
Yeah. Nobody's going back with you, Maddox.
Yeah, and so like everybody's like, no, and then I think, I don't know what makes. What causes Maddox to go back to camp? Does he just decide that, okay, fine, I'm just gonna go if you're gonna die here?
I think Grandma Mog says, challenges him, kind of says like, oh, these girls paid me to protect them and I intend to do so. And
I think that's when he says, no, I'm just gonna go back to
camp. He's like, I'm not trying to do this right now. She's gonna die. I want to take her with me. I don't want to fight you right now.
Well, it looks like you're just gonna die here is pretty much what he says. So yeah, according to him and his idea in his head, Jude's dead. Jude.
Yeah, and he says to her, he says goodbye. He says like a formal goodbye, and he says you would have made a good red cap.
Yeah.
That's what he says to her.
And so so he thinks his daughter's dead. He thinks that this is killing her, which essentially it is. He's not wrong. But so everybody comes back to Jude's side, and this is a fucking wonderful moment, even though it's shitty. But in all opinion, though, like, it was meant for her to happen so she could recognize her own station, like who she is, because here she's dying. And she's like pretty much bleeding out, and everybody's coming to her, and she's just like, put earth in me, and she can barely talk. And she's telling them, hey, put this stuff inside me, take the earth and stick it inside me.
And they're even like,
and then sew me up.
What? Are you sure? Are you speaking right?
Viv is the only one that says, just do it.
Yeah, because and then she tells them, no, she's the queen.
Yeah, just do it. And Taryn's like, what? Everyone's like, what? So they do it. Taryn sews her up.
Poor Taryn. She wasn't prepared for that.
No, and right before everyone's eyes, she starts to heal.
Healing, yeah. Where her blood was spilled, flowers are blooming up in the snow.
And she's mortal. So she has the power of the earth.
The earth has accepted her as their queen. And in that moment, also, Grandma Mog bows down and says, you are my queen.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And Taryn is like, that's when for her, Taryn's like, this is my loyalty. My loyalty is to you. So all the
it's about damn time.
Yeah, all the shitty fucking things that Taryn did to her sister, she now recognizes that,
I would not trust her still.
I still wouldn't.
No.
But, at least that she's finally on the fucking right path of actually, if you're going to be loyal to somebody, why not your fucking twin sister, who's now the queen? Like, you would be stupid now at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, she's even here because your request to protect you from the inquest. So, like, if you are going to betray your sister, you should fucking die at this point.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. I mean, from the moment you fucking sold her out from the Nixies, I was already off team.
Yeah.
I was
hating on her.
Sick of her shit.
Yeah. But, like, at this point, it would be stupid on her part to, like, completely ignore what's happening.
100%.
But she realizes she's a queen. She's a queen. She was always meant to be the queen at this point, And I think that's when she realizes, because she always questions Cardin.
I was just about to bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, to see that, because I don't even think she's seen this relationship happen. She's seen no part of this relationship.
No,
she may have probably heard from the talk about who she's about, like, oh, they're hopelessly in love and blah, blah, blah. But to see that he actually made her queen, That's got to be like, oh my god.
She even was like, what the fuck? So they have a conversation later, but like this is Taryn's point where she's just like recognizing that Jude has a place. She found her place. She's made her place, and now she's also the queen. So like, and then she's like, wait a second, but the king is Carden, who they hated. So she's having this whole mental breakdown.
She is.
And Vivi's like, this is the whole time. She like, so Viv knew the whole time everything. She's been trying to tell them, just tell them, just tell them. And this is when it comes out. So now, I think at this point, Jude is fucking pretty much almost healed completely, very slightly still in like can be fucked up because the stitches are still there.
Yeah, I think she's like healed from not dying, but she still has like a wound. Like it's still there. She still has the stitches.
Yeah, but she's alive.
She's alive.
She just needs to stay.
She just needs to
heal.
rest.
Yeah.
Fucking give this girl a day to rest. But no, she has
has
no time to
She's like,
rest.
I gotta go save Carden. Ghost is after him.
Ghost is after him. I gotta go.
Yeah, and the girls are like, no, don't. Like, don't. Just you need to heal. And I don't know what the girls do. I think they end up heading back to the palace too, but on a shorter route.
Yeah.
Or sorry, a slower route.
Yeah.
Because she's trying to get there now. And so she does. She rides up on one of the steeds and starts flying there, but her stitches are starting to rip as she's flying there. And she realized she can't go like this. I think there's like some kind of ball or something too that she knows that they're gonna have. So she goes. As she's traveling there, she's like, I'm just gonna land in Maddox's estate because she knows that nobody's there.
Yeah.
So she lands there and she goes through everyone's stuff and she's kind of reminiscing. And she goes to Viv's room and she knows that Viv still had a lot of stuff there because she just up and left.
Yeah.
So she dresses in Viv's attire and then starts.
And she grabs like a musical instrument, like a lute or something. I don't know. And then she takes it down to the palace. She gets to the palace and she finds a musician there and writes a note and says, hey, I need you to give this to one of the living council members to give it to Carden.
Yeah.
And so in exchange for his service for doing that, she gives him the musical instrument. He takes it and then he goes off. And she goes up into the rafters because, again, she's under the impression that Ghost is here to kill Carden. That's where Ghost would be. So she sits up there and she waits. And I love that during this time she's waiting, she's acknowledging the fact that she's dripping blood.
Yeah.
Like blood. She's trying not to get blood on the people below her.
Yeah. She's just like.
She's heavy metal. Like, this is some metal shit
and
right
she's
here.
like watching everybody and just like pondering what the fuck's gonna happen to her and what's gonna happen to the king. And she's crazy.
Trying not to pass out while she's balancing on these raptors while also trying to stay as focused as she possibly can because Ghost could potentially be up here. And then she sees Carden. Carden finally comes out and she sees the note get passed to him. He looks at it. I think he looks at it and then kind of sends it off and she's like,
this dude.
Does he not want to read my note? Does he already know? If he knows, why is he out here?
Like, why does he not care that he's about to be? He's just like waved it off like.
Also, I found this interesting that like, why is he here partying? Like, Jude is not back. I would be nervous. Like, I'm like, I'm not throwing a ball. I'm not reveling right now.
He probably didn't. I don't think he did it. I think it's just because every time in the palace, it's just shit's always happening.
But like, why would he be there? I would be in my rooms, right? Because like he's waiting for Jude to come back.
I think he is waiting for Jude to come back. I don't know. I can't understand.
Party in the meantime, like.
But yeah, so she sees arrows coming towards her, and they're missing, and so that's like a good indicator that whoever's there, either one, isn't a good shot, or two, isn't actually trying to kill her.
Yeah,
or
both. And certainly it was not Ghost because he would not have missed.
Yes, or Roach is still not doing well at this point in time, so. So she ends up finding out that it's Bomb. And Bomb is like, I still believes that she's actually, I don't know, does she think that Jude is actually out? Yeah, because they believe that the counselors, that's right. So Bomb, even though knows it's Jude, she still does not believe that Jude is there with good intention.
And seeing Bomb, everything sort of clicks into Jude's head.
Yeah.
That Maddox led her to believe that a ghost was going to be up in the rafters. She sent a note saying that somebody was coming to assassinate. Then they get up there and it's Jude.
Yeah.
It all looks like Jude is there to assassinate the king.
Especially knowing that they've been implying that Jude's been working with Maddox. Maddox set that up, that Jude has always been working for Maddox. So, that was, even though Matic is fucking ridiculous, that was a good setup on his part.
That was a good setup on his part, and also a good setup on Holly's part, because I didn't see that. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I bought into it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, what are they gonna do with her? They're gonna lock her up, and then I was like, Cardin's gonna think she's there. Like,
you're still on that.
I'm still on that. I was
to
like,
me,
no.
I was just like, oh, Cardin's gonna recognize it. That it's not. It's not. Yeah. I already knew that Cardin was going to be the one to help her through this. But I was shocked because as soon as that happens, Jude slips and falls because she's like going in and out of consciousness.
Well, and she slipped on her own blood.
Yeah.
Which is just chef's kiss to this whole scenario.
Yeah.
She's bleeding out on people. Yeah. She slips on her own blood.
She's re-dying all over again. She's ridiculous. So ridiculous but brilliant at the same time. So yeah, so Jude slips, falls right into the table down below. So she's like falling from the ceiling.
Food everywhere. Yeah. They're in the middle of partying. Here comes Jude, bloody and fucking disheveled. Yeah. I laughed out loud as she fell from the rafters.
Girl. I mean, you kind of knew, at this point, like, this is what was going to happen. You knew you were not fit to duty. This. Like, duty does not come right now. You're going to die. You need to take care of yourself. But no, she falls from the ceiling. Everything's fucking everywhere. And, was it somebody in the living council was pretty much like, Randallin, I think?
Yeah, Randallin.
Was like ready to like chain her up and stuff.
Yeah, he's like, she's here to assassinate the king.
And Cardin was like running or walking fastly towards her and calling her a liar. What did he call her? Like a filthy liar or something?
Yeah,
like
you filthy mortal liar, something like that.
Something crazy. So I'm like, oh no. Is Cardin really, like, this whole time Cardin was like on her side trying to rescue her, and now he's going to be like in front of everybody?
Yeah.
Like he's really going to be an asshole right now?
Before that, so when she's on the ground, he comes up to her and she says to him, I lost your cloak. And that's when he says, you dirty mortal liar.
Yeah, and I was just like, no. But then that's when Randallin and them were trying to put chains on her, and he's like, no, don't fucking touch her. That's your queen. And so I was like, oh,
she's my wife, is what he says.
Yeah, she's my wife, not my queen. She's my wife. And it's like, wow. So he wasn't mad because of any other reason other than the fact that she didn't fucking leave like she said she was. And that's what he was referring to. I was like, okay, because I was a little worried. That was the only time I was worried about
when he was coming up to her. He does though tell them that is the queen. He says, that's my wife. This is the queen of Elfheim.
Yeah.
And she's no longer in exile or something like that. He says to her. But
so I think
I was worried the whole way through. I was like, oh my god, here we go. She's gonna get caught.
And then Jude passes right out after that. She's like, okay, I'm good now.
Okay.
Nap time. Nap time. I
can finally rest.
No more stupid dreams. He actually said I was the queen.
He told everybody I'm his wife. He told everybody I'm the queen.
I'm gonna go sleep now. I'm gonna rest. I would too though. If I were her, with all those insecurities and everything finally come to an end, that Cardin is actually saying, hey, I'm no longer in exile. I'm the queen, because that's who he's talking to. I'm gonna go sleep too.
Okay.
I'm gonna go sleep
all
too.
this built up anxiety and fear and insecurities just, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why, of course she's dying too. So obviously she knows that the assassination attempt isn't going to happen because it was a setup on her. Yep. So she knows she could actually rest easy on that too. So there's just so much things that have happened that have come to a conclusion where now Jude dying from the fucking fall
off the rafters
with her life.
So Jude,
yeah,
like it's totally her, and the fact that she's like, I lost your cloak.
Yeah.
She's lying there. He's looking at her like, you liar.
Yeah.
You were supposed to go home.
Yeah.
Why am I not shocked that you're fucking falling from the rafters?
And almost
bloody.
Yeah.
But
so like, of course he's like terrified for her and all that stuff. But yeah, she's passed out, and that's the end of part 1 of book 3.
Yes. All right. So that concludes part 1 of book 3. We of course have to break it up. So we will be posting the second part of this review later. Thank you for joining us this time. We hope to see you next time. And just so you know, we are on Spotify and YouTube as well, so you can check us out on any platform. We look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.